guys can let me know.
Um,
To go. Good morning, everyone.
Hello, YouTube.
uh, oh,
And Pookie also says hello.
yeah.
Um, yes.
Hello,
Uh,
YouTube. I got my stuff ready, I swear. It's
yeah. Well, I have this open. Um, so I'll just jump in with this really cool Space Daily news I saw. For some reason, Reddit doesn't like the Space Daily uh, domain name, spacedaily.com. They never let any um, articles or links or anything from that website um,
I
over
noticed
into
that
Reddit.
also.
So it's a pain. They got a lot of really interesting stuff. So I can't share this over on Reddit or via Reddit, but um, it says when Italian and German researchers modeled a square meter array of 1,482 neodymium magnets. The simulation showed roughly a fifth of incoming low energy solar protons being deflected, suggesting a potential way for deep space crews to reduce some of the mass they currently carry for radiation shielding. Yeah, isn't that cool? We're getting Star Trek force like shields, spaceship shields and everything, right? Raise the shields.
great.
Okay. Yeah. Bum. So,
Long as it's
yeah,
free
the
to the
opening
public.
sentence is basically a repeat of that headline, but with the addition, they're saying without any power supply, cryogenic cooling, or moving parts. That's really cool. Those are big weight uh, drains on the whole design system. Um, so. It says the work published as a 2026 preprint revives a long-standing engineering question whether simple permanent magnets could shoulder part of the radiation protection burden that currently forces deep space mission designers to choose between bulky mass shielding and complex power-hungry active systems. The design is deliberately unglamorous, an array of neodymium iron boron magnets packed into a compact surface area. No cryogenics, no power draw, no superconducting coils. In the simulations, this arrangement deflected a portion of incoming solar protons in the low energy band. That energy range covers, yeah, mega electron volts for what, yeah, just. Um, it's basically just a measure of how much energy is being carried by each individual particle at a subatomic scale. So this is the solar wind that the aurora borealis is kind of an example of. Those are the same particles coming in to the Earth, but it gets captured and rerouted around the Earth by the magnetic field, and it, comes around up to the poles, North and South Pole, um, because of that's the nature of a magnet. Um, so yeah, um, that energy range covers a meaningful slice of the particles thrown off during solar particle events. The sudden bursts of radiation that follow flares and coronal mass ejections impose the sharpest acute risks to crews outside Earth's magnetosphere. Even a partial reduction in dose achieved with hardware that could plausibly bolt onto a spacecraft wall represents progress in this challenging area. The specific configuration used 1,482 cubic magnets, each 3 centimeters on a side, arranged in an approximately 1.7 meter by 1.4 meter grid and weighing under 300 kilograms. Deep space radiation is the single most stubborn constraint on human exploration beyond low Earth orbit. During long duration exposure, long duration exposure raises risks of cancer, central nervous system damage, and cardiovascular disease, the last of which has drawn particular attention in recent physiology work on the hazards of extended missions. The problem splits into two categories. Solar particle events are episodic, mostly low energy, and somewhat predictable. Galactic cosmic rays are constant, extremely high energy, and arrive from every direction at once. NASA's space weather teams monitor the solar activity for crewed missions, including the Artemis 2 lunar flyby. The traditional shielding, which is aluminum polyethylene water tanks, works by mass. More matter, more absorption, but mass is the enemy of any deep space mission. I was not aware that it was just carrying around tanks of water around them. That's crazy. That's water is heavy. That's a lot. And to have to
Yeah,
do that, bring that with them. Uh, yeah, every single additional gram that they have to go up into space has a whole trickle down of all kinds of additional thrust and weight and fuel. So yeah, if they can cut any of that out with these really lightweight, neodymium is a rare earth element, but it is one of the strongest, lightest weight permanent magnets um, on the entire periodic table. So making these magnets with neodymium, um, really, I mean, that makes those the difference between a neodymium magnet and a traditional, like, um, you know, iron magnet is tremendous in terms of the amount of weight per, Tesla magnetic fields and everything. It's crazy. So if that can, and like they said, even 20% reduction um, on the incoming radiation. If they add that to the existing water tanks, then they can reduce the amount of water for that radiation, and the combination will have a whole trickle down in weight savings that they can then either use for extending crew missions or, larger payload capacity. Um, yeah, that's really tremendous. Um, Magnetic shielding tries to sidestep the mass problem by mimicking what Earth's magnetosphere does naturally. It bends charged particles away before they hit anything important. Superconducting magnets can generate strong fields around a craft, but they require cryogenic cooling and continuous power, a fragile combination for a years-long mission. Permanent magnets need neither. They just sit there. The catch is that permanent magnets produce weaker fields, so they only bend the slower moving particles. Passive magnetic arrays function like a high-pass filter, turning back the low energy end of the spectrum while letting the fast, dangerous stuff punch through unaffected. Um, Hmm. Okay. Against GCRs, which arrive with energies in the giga electron volt range from all directions, yeah, so that's 1,000 times higher, higher energy, going from mega electron volts to giga electron volts. Such arrays are essentially transparent. There is also a subtler problem. When a proton does strike the magnetic material, instead of getting deflected, the collision can generate secondary radiation, neutrons and gamma rays inside the shield itself. This is the same physics that makes cosmic rays hazardous to microelectronics at altitude. High energy protons striking atmospheric or shield atoms release cascades of neutrons that can flip bits in memory, in medical devices, disrupt firmware. Oh, wait, can flip bits in memory and in medical devices disrupt firmware. Okay. A shield that stops some particles by absorbing them can generate new problems downstream. And neodymium iron boron magnets can demagnetize over time, essentially under radiation bombardment. Okay, so exactly what the thing is meant to do can eventually destroy it. Uh, a shield that works on year one may not work as well on year three. Yeah. Passive magnetic shielding is best understood as one component of a layered defense system. No one is proposing that magnet arrays replace the storm shelter the heavily shielded compartment crews retreat to during solar events. Oh, okay, cool. So they got like a little safe room inside their capsules or whatever. Quick run to the safe room when the the incoming solar flare will hit. That's kind of neat. Um, okay, so the pitch is layered defense. Passive magnets peel off the low energy component. Mass shielding handles medium energies. Storm shelters or pharmaceutical countermeasures cover the acute exposure edge cases. Pharmaceutical countermeasures? Um, I mean, yeah, I guess if the gamma rays give you cancer, give the astronauts chemo, I guess. That's something to consider before signing up to be an astronaut. Um, okay. Galactic cosmic rays remain for now largely a problem of dose management and mission duration. The physics of using magnets to steer charged particles is well understood in laboratory settings, though the behavior of large magnetic arrays in plasma environments can be counterintuitive, as work on how bar magnets interact with plasma has shown. Oh, as work on how bar magnets interact with plasma has shown. Period. Space is not a clean laboratory. Yeah. Solar wind is itself a plasma, and any magnetic structure planted inside it will interact with the surrounding particle environment in ways that simulations have to capture carefully. Yeah, that's really hard math. Um, Future work in this area will likely include Monte Carlo simulations. Hey, nice. To test magnetic arrays' effectiveness against radiation shielding from multiple directions simultaneously, closer to the real conditions a spacecraft would face. Multi-directional galactic cosmic ray flux, secondary particle production inside the shield, and the field's degeneration over mission timescales all need modeling before any hardware flies. That's a big, fancy, sciencey sounding sentence, isn't it? A lot of
Everything you
cool
say is
words. A lot of cool words there. I feel smarter just for having read it. Um, there is also the question of scaling. A proof of concept footprint is one thing. A crewed vehicle wrapping a habitable volume in magnets of this density would need substantially more mass, though still potentially less than an equivalent aluminum shell. Yeah, aluminum can't be magnetized. So if you want, if you're going to build a shell that's going to do anything and it might be exposed to radiation, it might be better to make it magnetic then, right? At least partially peel off the lower energy spectrum. Ah, the broader picture is that radiation protection for deep space has no single solution. Yeah, no simple solution either. It's a portfolio problem. Every technique on offer, mass, magnetic, pharmaceutical, mission planning, all has a specific slice of the threat it addresses and a specific cost. Advances in molecular magnetism and novel magnetic materials could eventually widen what passive shielding can do, but nothing in the current pipeline eliminates the underlying trade-off between shielding effectiveness and launch mass. Okay, almost done. What makes recent work on passive magnetic shielding worth attention is not any single deflection number, it is the framing. Researchers in this area are not selling a solution, they are quantifying one piece of a system that will need many pieces to work. Deep space radiation is the kind of problem that resists silver bullets. Solar particle events can be forecast, sometimes hours in advance. GCRs cannot be forecast at all, they simply are. Astronauts on a Mars-class mission would accumulate dose steadily, and every gram of shielding buys back a small percentage of that dose at a large propellant cost. Permanent magnets offer something different. Shielding that costs nothing to operate, breaks in slow rather than catastrophic ways, and stacks with other techniques. Partial deflection is not enough on its own. Uh, Combined with mass shielding, storm shelters, mission timing around the solar cycle, and pharmaceutical, they're just repeating the same thing now. Whether it is enough to push crewed Mars mission from the aspirational column to the operational one remains an open question. The engineering, at least, is beginning to look less like magic and more like arithmetic. And there we go. Yeah, magnets. Those are strong magnets too. Um, yeah,
Smarter after you read that.
yeah.
Me too.
How would they would need to figure out, well, I mean, I guess it would be part of their whole design from the beginning, but they would need to figure out how to keep any of that magnetic shielding from interacting with any of their hardware inside too. Any of the experiments, anything um, close enough. If the magnets are strong enough to deflect protons like that, then it's yeah, I don't know. 1,500 um, magnets. What were they? Um, yeah, neodymium magnets. Didn't they say they got them from like refrigerators or something? I don't know. Not like stick-on type, like the from the. I don't know. It's interesting though. It will be cool. One step closer to raising the shields in Star Trek. Of course, these can't be turned off, so yeah, they can't lower the shields. So,
Mm.
mm.
Um,
Hi, Toaster.
yeah. Hey, Toaster, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. How's the weather? I always ask
So
people that
far,
because
so good.
okay. Shout out to everybody out there watching. Press that thumbs up button. Spam the comments. Press a little bell to tell you every time we go live. Anyhow, um, what was I asking you? I asked you how's your weather. Okay, you answered that. I got something though that is pretty interesting. A little kid passed away, unfortunately, but it says Arizona toddler came back from the dead inside of a hospital morgue. As a toddler who was pronounced dead after a suspected drowning in Arizona, miraculously found alive in a hospital morgue nearly 6 hours later. The 18-month-old boy who was found inside the hospital's pool, no, found inside his family's pool in Gilbert on Super Bowl Sunday, was rushed to Mercy Hospital and pronounced dead despite concerns from police that the tot showed signs of life, according to ABC 15. Medical staff at the hospital dismissed their concerns, saying that the toddler's body was only responding to efforts, oh, wasn't responding to efforts to save his life. A police officer tried to alert the doctor, who pronounced him dead. but the doctor brushed him off as not having the expertise necessary. The doctor arrogantly told me he was the doctor. He has the medical degree. He went to school for a reason and let him do his thing, a police report said. The officer had also heard a nurse say the toddler had a pulse. The doctor still declared the toddler dead, despite officers seeing signs of life for over the next hour. Mm. The release of the air was audible and visible, an officer wrote, adding, it also began to sound like a child was gasping for air. Medical staff moved the boy inside the morgue, and the officer saw the toddler breathing again. I again observed what appeared to be a gasp of air release, which is now almost an hour later, the report said. Audio recordings captured an officer telling the family to say their goodbyes to the boy. Several hours later, the medical examiner discovered the toddler was, in fact, still alive. The baby will still require lifelong care after an MRI revealed he had brain damage, according to ABC 15. This is a heartbreaking situation, Mercy Gilbert Medical Center said in a statement. We immediately conducted a thorough review of all aspects of the care provided to learn what happened and to take meaningful changes to strengthen our care. Out of our respect for the patient's privacy, we cannot discuss the details. That's it. Sounds like the doctor sucks, not the hospital.
He
Yeah,
couldn't possibly suck, though. He has the medical degree. He went to medical school.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard that one before.
Uh, that sucks for people's kids these days when they have doctors like that. Just brush people off. I haven't had anybody tell me that I have the medical degree and stuff like that yet, but I've heard about people being told that. And sorry for that little kid he was told that. I mean,
I
these people
haven't
were
been
told that.
told that, but my ex had, and it was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Oh yeah. Like, the doctor told him, I have the medical degree. I know what I'm talking about, and then prescribed him a medication.
Hmm.
Okay, sorry. Brain spark, memory spark.
Um, Nothing wrong with that. Uh, there was something about this lizards earlier, Mark. I was going to read into. Um,
Oh, yeah. If you're able to get past that, like, pop-up thing in the Orlando Sentinel, and I was able to get past the paywall on my phone, like with the ad blocker, but um, my phone's occupied right now over there running the lava lens, so
but
I don't know why it won't let me get
looks like
past
it'll let me go. On my computer at least.
it, you know?
I'll read it. Wow, it's pretty long.
Is it? You don't need to
Says,
read the whole thing. It was right in the in the area, so I'm kind of excited. I want to see one of these fancy lizards.
oh, I'm interested in reading it. Says invasive lizards are moving into Central Florida. More may be on the way. That's actually a pretty lizard. Um, and a flash of curled tails, mottled stripes, and neon scales. Invasive lizards are moving into Central Florida, and they're here to stay. The reptiles, ranging in size from a few inches to several feet, have been increasingly sighted in the region, often traveling from South Florida, where they originally landed by hitching rides on international ships or through the exotic pet trade, according to the Florida Fishing Wildlife Conservation Commission. They include the brightly colored Peters Rock agama spotted around Lake Eola in downtown Orlando at Ma- Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom and on the University of Central Florida campus, among other local areas, according to the reports
What was the name
on
of the lizard?
iNaturalist. Uh, did I say I have a name yet? I didn't hear. I think I said it yet. Um,
It is Peter's Rock Agama.
oh, okay. So I did say
They
it.
say it further down, but
Okay.
there's an entire article about it on Fish and Wildlife website. They're
That's
telling,
what I just pulled up.
they're
Um,
telling Floridians it's okay to kill them year round, humanely, but you don't need a
oh,
hunting license to kill these lizards. They want to be very clear about that.
Yep, and they eat
you guys have a
smaller
lot of
native
invasive species.
reptiles.
Um,
So
Yeah.
yeah, they're bad. Yep.
why does
The
Florida have
climate
so
is
many invasive species?
the climate and the environment. The Everglades already has the highest biodiversity of any environment in the lower 48. So, I mean,
Think
that just it's a great place to live for a lot of different animals. You don't
it,
have freezing winters. There's plenty of food around, a lot of other stuff to eat. Whether or not it was your native stuff, there's, insects and stuff that eats insects and stuff that eats insects. So wherever you are on your food chain in your native region, you can find a good slot here in Florida and just start messing things up. So, yeah,
think the Amazon rainforest. There's still species being discovered to this day.
yeah.
Florida is becoming the Amazon rainforest in terms of climate, with the humidity, the heat, everything.
Um, there's hippos in South America because that one drug dealer had hippos, and I think
Colombia,
yeah, what they say it went from three to like oh no, it was three females and one male, and they let them into the wild, and now they're up to like 30,000.
1,000. I was gonna say like what, maybe 200 or so? Thousands of hippos.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
There's
hippos.
I believe we
and
read the
there's
article now, and it said
and
thousands.
There must have
yeah.
been more than just two originally released.
Oh,
It was four released, three girls and one boy. Well, three girls and
yeah.
one boy.
In the region to which the coca plant is native too, I wonder I wonder if those hippos ended up ever
They
like
thrive living off of coca
chomping
plant.
chomping a little bit of coca leaf and getting all zooted up and go
Frisky.
to town, have a good old
Okay,
time.
back to the lizard. It
Okay.
says the Argentine black and white tegu, a South American native that can grow to nearly 5 feet long, has been seen wandering in Altamont,
Altamont.
uh, Altamont Springs, and Geneva, as well as further east near Cocoa and Melbourne, according to iNaturalist Post and FWC. Is that fish, native and wildlife stuff? Um, I'll
Mhm.
just use that
Probably
fish.
Fish and Wildlife Commission.
There we go.
Yeah.
Um, experts worry about potential ecological domino effects as the intruders often compete with compete with or eat native species and throw their ecosystems off balance. Invasive species invasive intruders. Lizards can also cause electrical or plumbing problems by crawling into man made systems, and they can carry diseases like malaria and salmonella, said Matthew Atkinson, a herp- herpet- herpetologist at UCF. There are some human level impacts to this, just kind of ornamental perspective, just kind of a nuisance perspective, as well as a potential health risk, Atkins said. Climate change, especially warmer winters, has likely spurred their spread of the area, he said, and more species could be on their way. Most of the lizards are tropical and thrive in a built environment where they can bask in the sun in 1 second and dart off to hide in the next. It's actually a really nice lizard. So the presence is going to be a consistent issue in urbanized Central Florida, Atkins said. It's kind of a lost cause down here, for lack of a better word, he added. But the scientists are keeping track, often with the help of local residents who photograph and report lizard sightings as the state work to trap and almost dangerous to trap the almost dangerous most dangerous invaders. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the picture too. Um, it's all about just reporting and monitoring and removing whenever possible, Atkins said. Stephen Collins, an Orlando resident and engineer, describes himself as, quote, obsessed with using online platforms like iNaturalist um, to log his photos of wildlife in his free time. The bold agamas have been particularly interesting for him. He photographed one near Lake Eola in May, nothing but neon blur and the tree canopy. It's alarming when you're not expecting it, he said. Seeing the large lizards is a little surprising. Native to sub-Saharan Africa, breeding male agamas can grow to a foot long and sport a vivid color blocked pattern, according to FWC. Their heads are orange, stark against the dark blue hue of their torso, which fades into white, then orange, and finally black down the length of their tails. They're easy to see, but nearly impossible to catch, the agency says. They're very large and they are skittish, Collins confirmed. When you scare them, you'll hear them. They kind of scamper up a tree. For the past decade, he occasionally spotted agamas in other parts of the state, he said, but only in the past couple of years did he start seeing them far north as Central Florida. Around 1887, almost a century before gammas came into the picture, the brown anole arrived in Florida Keys, and by early 2000, they'd been documented in in the state, every county in the state, I'm sorry, according to the University of Florida. Native Cuba and Bahamas, the slender 4 to 8 inch species has pushed out, sometimes preyed on native green anoles ever since, FWC says. By the mid 19 uh, by the mid 1900s, uh, northern curly tail lizards from the Bahamas were introduced as pest control in South Florida sugarcane fields. The agency reported the stocky species, up to 11 inches long, sometimes outcompetes or eats other lizards, including brown anoles. Recent iNaturalist posts show sightings across much of the southern and central parts of South Florida. I mean, central parts of Florida, with local clusters around UCF, Valencia College East Campus, and universities or Universal's Volcano Bay. The sizable gammas popped up By the 1970s, one of the state's newly arrivals is even bigger, growing nearly 5 feet long. Tigers were first documented in the early 2000s, likely as escapees from the pet trade, according to the Natural Invasive Species Information Center, which is overseen by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They're both land dwellers. Both land dwellers and strong swimmers, which with the ability to survive in marine and fresh water habitats, FWC reports. The state agency prohibits keeping the South American species without a special permit for educational research and eradication purposes, with limited exceptions for pet owners. Tegus are, in quote, high priority invasive species for removal efforts due to their potential impacts or on native wildlife. A FWC spokesperson wrote in an email statement, with the recognizable salt and pepper speckled stripes, the tegu is known for its, in quote, ferocious appetite and resilience, sometimes preying on alligator eggs, ground nesting birds, and endangered turtles, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. The federal agency detailed removal efforts on its website, including trap baited with eggs and trackers to lure tegus and study their movements. As these species in South and Central Florida and potentially further north, it's difficult to pinpoint how they interact with each other. While those already here jockey for space, sometimes eating or conflicting with one another. Other South Florida invasive species, uh, like the one ma- like the one massive Nile monitor that may be on their way into the area soon. Atkins said, Nile monitors are the largest lizard species in Africa, sometimes reaching over 6 feet long and weighing up to 20 pounds in South Florida. The semi-aquatic species has a higher reproduction rate and a generalist feeder, gobbling up everything from crabs to snakes to small mammals, according to the FWC. Like Tigris, Nile monitors are now a member of the FWC's prohibited species list. It's going to be really complicated because there's not anywhere that really has the very unique combination of a lot of different species from a lot of different places coming together in very unique way, Atkins said. However, not all non-native species are considered invasive. A title reserved for those that cause harm to the environment, economy, or human quality of life. Agamas, for example, are not considered invasive by FWC, though the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services has previously referred to them such on the account their competition with native species for food and habitat. Florida happens to have a dubious distinction as the global epicenter and non-native species introduction, says Steve Johnson, in wildlife ecology professor at University of Florida. UF reports that more than 150 non-native reptile species have made their way into Florida since the brown anole was first documented. There are now about 3 times as many introduced lizard species established in the state as they are native species. Johnson said, scientists often don't discover and investigate the new established populations until residents report their sightings online, Johnson added. Central Florida now serves as a rough northern border for some of the invaders. You sort of get a drop off from Orlando north. There are as many as there are not as many, he said. It's just probably going to be a matter of time before they show up. and I wouldn't be surprised. Um, yeah, my eyes are horrible. Go ahead, Toaster.
Sorry, small tangent. A lot of people do um push the invasive name onto a lot of species that do no harm to the environment. There are a lot of, uh, as I said, non-native species, but they're called naturalized. They okay, I have a tree. It's non-native. It's a sawtooth oak. It's originally from the Asian regions, but it's a naturalized tree. It doesn't hurt any of the trees around it. It helps the bees that come. It's non-invasive. A lot of people, like with um, crepe myrtles, I think. Crepe myrtles, I don't think are native to this part of the north or this far north south. Um, are also starting to call crepe myrtles invasive. They're not. They're not. They're not doing harm to native species. They're actually helping.
Yeah,
And
Mark, you sent me that. I'm sorry.
but I will admit this particular rock lizard sounds like it might be invasive if it is damaging native
Oh,
lizard
they are definitely,
populations.
they are all over the place. The brown anole has destroyed the green anole so much, the native green anole so much that I don't even recall the last time I saw a green one, but we've got brown
We see
anoles all
green
over
and
on the patio back there. They're practically just cat toys at this point, cat bait for Poofy. She's such a good hunter. Wow. Such a scary cat.
we have blue tail
Oh,
skinks out here, and we have brown anoles, but not as much as the skinks.
yeah. Um, but for the brown anoles to have come in and outcompeted the green anoles, to the point where they are now the basically supplanted that entire slot in the native
Food
food
chain.
chain, definitely qualifies as invasive. And if a non-native species is spreading across a state without any sort of human intervention, then that I think is very easily labeled as invasive. You know, people plant crepe myrtles all the time, all over the place, but crepe
Yeah,
myrtles don't go and spread and take over, anywhere unless they've been planted by people, you know. So, um, yeah.
I have a crepe
Uh,
myrtle. It's blooming right outside my window. It's very pretty. It's like a watermelon pink, and there's lots of bees all around it.
nice. I got a white one out the window over there, and we got like a magenta-y,
Oh,
purplish
we have a
over in the
white
back
one
there.
too, but that one bloomed earlier this year.
Nice.
It's interesting that the different colors seem to bloom at different times.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I have a I have a article that's kind of tagging along to
Go ahead.
Pookie's, even though it's in a
Well,
completely different part of the United States.
real quick though, I want to just toss in. You're saying that there's um identified populations around, various areas and stuff. They mentioned UCF. Ah, UCF's my alma mater. Ah, go Knights.
Oh,
So yeah, I think that was kind of cool.
Niner
I like
Nation.
to hear that. I know exactly where all of every one of those locations and names that he read out He did a really good job pronouncing them. He got some really weirdly spelled names right on the first try. So
Oh, I was hoping
impressed.
so.
I'm
'Cause I was
impressed.
just
Yeah, you're on
reading
the ball.
past them.
So yeah, there's some weird names around here.
Yeah,
So
especially when I read them weekly and it's medication names. Those are the ones. And I'm
yeah,
like,
I mean, but th
yeah,
those are all just completely invented words anyway. So I don't see that as something where anybody can say there's any correct pronunciation when it's just put together from random letters and not actual like root words of anything. So I just, yeah, like
Mhm.
the package, excopri, they tell you excopri, right? Why do they?
Some people
Yeah,
say excopri.
I say excopri.
who are they to tell me
Some people say
what this
excopri.
random assembly of letters that has no basis in any spoken language? Who are they to tell me what that sounds like? They
Yeah,
didn't
like
come up with the name. It was the FDA that said, okay, that's what you can call this, right? So
Language evolved.
yeah,
like
I say yeah,
Briviac.
I say Toaster's right when she calls it excopri. There's
Yeah.
there's no there's no as long as people get the message, understand what you're talking about, the medications. So
Yeah,
Oh,
like
cheers.
Briviac's generic is Breveracetam. Um,
Yeah.
so there's no correct pronunciation to that, you're saying?
Well, no, those are actually like n names with roots in the pharmaceutical, like the atomic molecular
Nice.
structure of a lot of them. Um, so that's a little bit different, but the like the trade names is just gibberish.
well, I
So
want to go ahead and apologize in advance to our native population for any mispronunciations that I do because, well, it is a real language.
yeah, oh yeah, and that makes a lot of
Now, this was
like native areas very difficult, right?
the past week. Rhonda Kauk has watched through high-powered binoculars as low-flying helicopters pursue hundreds of her relatives across Mono Lake and corral them into massive metal trailers. I feel numb, heartbroken. Kauk told Native News through tears. I feel like I failed to protect them. These horses are my ancestors, my relatives. It hurts. The wild horses of Mono Lake are sacred to Kauk and other native peoples in eastern Sierra Nevada region. The federal government claims the area is overrun with a herd of nearly 700 and wants to um, round, round up and remove 3/4 of that herd. The area's tribes have called for a 2-year delay to allow for non-lethal fertility management alternatives, including amino-contraception and meaningful co-management planning with tribal governments. According to a press release from the Utu Gwetu Paiute, sorry, again, not native speaker, tribe, the U.S. Forest Service has not responded to those calls. Kauk is a member of the Mono Lake Kutzadika tribe and works as a tribal historic preservation officer and cultural monitor for the nearby Utu way to Paiute tribe of the Benton Paiute Reservation. She is also the founder of the Indigenous Wild Horses Society. On June 30th, Calc, along with the tribe chairman and vice chairwoman, filed a lawsuit against federal agencies behind the removal and asked the court for an emergency halt to this week's roundup. The court denied the order, contesting claims that tribal consultation never took place. The lawsuit still remains active. Basically, the American government said, fuck you to this tribe, and are still rounding up horses that are sacred to their people.
I was
Horses are not
reading.
native to the United States. They're
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
naturalized.
say. It can't be that like that far back
1600s.
culturally. It's
1600s, so that's still a good 200 years culturally
mm,
before, the whole American shit.
I don't know if you remember, Mark. Remember, I was reading that article. They were chasing horses out of North Dakota, no, South Dakota, with the airplane, with the helicopter.
yeah.
I read that
Yeah.
article a while back. That was a cool picture. But yeah, I didn't know they weren't native to America.
Yeah, no horses have ever evolved on the American continent. They were all introduced. Um, I mean, the earliest were introduced around the 1600s, but that does not mean that all of the Americas were suddenly, boom, endowed with horses continent-wide. No, they had to spread, and they spread roughly with the the
Native
Spanish.
peoples.
No, with the Spanish and
They
um,
traded with the native peoples who
with
were
the
nomadic.
Catholic missionaries who came with them, and that's where the introductions were first made. Um, so, at what point were the um, I don't know.
At what
Um,
point does a species become native to a land?
I don't
Why do
know.
they want to get rid of them?
That's
They're
um,
claiming that there's too many, basically just culling the herd.
yeah,
They do that
yeah.
with deer.
They do it with a lot of different animals. So, I mean,
It's a mount.
why should they allow one species to go and disrupt the ecological balance of the overall system? Just, you know, I don't know. I'm not,
I
I'm
find the
not-
fact that the tribe is saying, hey, let's try to work something else out, and the government's basically saying, nah, is what I'm.
I mean, they're trying to file an injunction after the process is already underway and largely completed. So I'm not surprised that they're getting dismissed, but raising a stink now isn't really going to change anything. Um, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh no, this popped up on my news feed earlier. I'm probably gonna look into it more.
I got another article here.
But
Um,
when Pookie started talking about the lizards and stuff, my mind just went ADHD to. I read something
is
like this earlier.
um, well, I got something here. It says California founder fired for ignoring his company's his company's own return to work mandate. Uh,
Can I quickly point out, just a quick search, they're not calling, they're not killing anything, any of the animals. They're not calling the,
Oh, they aren't
no,
good.
no. BLM does not call healthy horses and burros. Instead,
What are
to
they going to
prevent
be doing?
to prevent rangeland damage, the agency conducts helicopter and bait and trap roundups, removing tens of thousands of animals to overfield holding facilities. Currently, more than 65,000 horses are warehoused in taxpayer-funded government pens.
That
So
doesn't
they're
sound
not
very
they're not
healthy.
being killed. They're just, I mean,
Have you seen, like, dog and cat shelters? I'm not sure. A horse shelter sounds too much better.
hmm,
Probably not.
I have not seen a cat shelter. Um,
You've never been to a pet shelter?
I mean, you're making an assumption about
I
something
am. I am.
based on a completely different
By
system, a completely different
viewpoint.
operation. So I don't know if that's quite I mean, quite the same thing. Oh,
um,
the animal rights groups frequently warn sheer volume of horses in holding pens make them vulnerable to kill buyers who purchase them in auction and ship them to slaughterhouses in other countries. Yeah.
what are you looking at, Mark?
He was looking up more
I just did a
information.
quick search of
Stuff that
you
I
know,
didn't do before I read the article.
well, just,
Oh,
whether wild horses in America are called. Do they call herds of horses?
I assumed they
Basically,
did.
is that going to be the end fate of these helicopter roundups? Are they um and no, they're not removing them from the environment by killing them. They're just removing them from the area where they are causing and creating environmental damage and disruption.
I assumed
Normal
so when the
BLM stuff.
I
It's not.
ass- I think I assumed it was a kill operation when I um read the part where the um native tribe was trying to work out non
Yeah, they
kill
did a good
policies.
job of saying that without explicitly saying that. They're
Yeah,
pushing an agenda, and they do a good job of using language that doesn't say what they want you to think, but gets you to think what they want. So, um, I don't know. Um,
is horse meat edible?
yeah,
Not
of
that I'm gonna
course.
eat a horse, but just checking.
Yeah. It's a lot of European countries.
Mm.
It's used and consumed.
Have you tried it?
I have not personally, no.
not that
Um,
I know of.
yeah,
Okay.
it's something, there's always been, I don't know, I always remember this sort of joke or dark joke or stigma that, oh, the cheap meat that they feed to the, like put in cans of dog food is all horse meat or something. And I'm like, I don't necessarily believe that. But it is considered a delicacy in other parts of the world. So, I think a large part our stigma against it might be the cultural romanticized cowboy mythos. The Native Americans, um, cowboys and Indians and stuff. That was all right, in a formational mythology of America, the whole Manifest Destiny era, and so yeah, um, eating an animal that is kind of closely tied emotionally to um,
Human.
to a strong symbolic concept uh, feels wrong in a way to a lot of people, much like these, the native tribe would not eat horse meat, that's there's more than just the animal and the meat of the animal there that they consider. Um, and then, yeah, that isn't the case in other parts of the world. Europe didn't have vast swaths of land grazing cattle and everything. The horse was always more of a well, I don't know.
Transportation
I guess
work.
I shouldn't necessarily speak for the
And when
viewpoints of
they
the,
got old, why not use the meat?
right. Yeah. Well, use all parts of the animal, right? A lot of
It's
cultures
what happened
consider
with
that
goats.
respectful, not let anything go to waste, as opposed to just decaying, you know. It's all um perspectives. So, Pookie,
Just waiting.
uh,
Well, um, yeah, the article here I was going to read a while ago.
Oh,
It
yes,
says
please.
California
quick.
founder
Horse meat
fired.
is technically legal in the majority of US states, but it's effectively unavailable because there are no FDA inspected horse slaughterhouses in the country. That's
Oh,
the big, that's the only reason Americans aren't eating horse.
so you
It's
got to go
not
catch it
because,
yourself, basically.
yeah, it looks like there are a handful of states, and believe it or not, Florida is one of the states that bans it. It looks like New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Florida, um, Iowa, or no, not Iowa, Illinois. One of those I states. Nah, they're all interchangeable, aren't they? New York. So the thumbnail
Um,
of the map, it's yeah, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts.
and Mark, I
So,
sent you an article to read when you get a chance.
oh boy, can I do it after a bathroom break?
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
Uh,
I'll let
I'm
you
gonna ask.
do that before you read this one. But yeah, everybody out there, press that thumbs up button, and we're gonna keep going. We're gonna get Mark to read this article when he gets back, which is gonna be great. I got the title out, almost the first sentence. Um, he's gonna finish it though. Do you guys agree that Mark should finish this article? Thumbs up or let us know in the comments. Uh, yeah. So I got something for this week. Fun facts. Uh, I did have one. I thought I did. Oh, there we go. This week, fun facts is: did you guys know lobster was a cheap meal in the 1900s? It was mostly eaten by slaves, homeless, and prisoners, and it's really
What
expensive
happened?
now. I have no idea. Um, I wish it was cheap now.
Yeah,
Um,
lobster's delicious.
Surprisingly, another fun fact. Actually, I'll come back with it when after Mark reads this
No, I
next
want a fun
article.
fact. I want the
Oh,
fun
another
fact
fun
too.
fact is tea bags were an accident. They were silk bags designed to store tea. not to be used as tea bags, but the customers didn't realize and used it as we do today.
Okay.
It was used to store the tea, not to dip it in your cup. And then it just got dipped in the cup, and they were like, well, you're already
Why,
using it for that. Might as well keep going.
why were they selling little silk pouches with individual servings worth of tea leaves in them if they weren't meant to be just boop, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. I get it. I understand why the customers thought, okay, this must be what it's for. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's a great
yeah, I
accident.
sent you that article. Um,
Okay.
Check that out.
I have a reading
It's a good one.
assignment. And,
At least I thought it was a good one.
okay. Okay. This sounds like an interesting title here. Yeah.
You want me to read it?
California. Huh?
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Okay. No, I don't want a Moroccan table lamp with bronze base.
Are you
Google.
sure?
Um,
Got ad blocker on.
no.
What if it was a lava lamp?
Ooh, you should
They
see
make
this.
Moroccan lava lamps.
You should see this table lamp is kind of. If each of those little bulbs was replaced with a lava lamp globe, that would be epic. Okay, the article.
I love
California
ADHD.
founder fired for ignoring his company's own return to office mandate. Yeah. Why?
Oh,
Yeah.
just keep reading. It gets better.
Yeah. The co-founder of an $8 billion asset management firm with offices in the Golden State was fired for not complying with his own return to office policy after failing to show up at the company's Southern California offices. William Newport, who worked as chief compliance officer for Bramshill or Bramshill? Shill.
I'm sure it looks
That
like.
sounds, I don't know. Bramshill sounds sketchy. I would not do business with Bramshill. I would do business with Bramshill. That sounds a bit more up and up, you know? But okay, whatever they're called. Um, he worked there for about a decade before being hired in 2022. Ran the firm with two high school classmates. Wait, he he worked as chief compliance officer for about a decade before being fired. Ran the firm with two high school classmates, Steven Silver and Art DeGan,
Gigatano?
DeGatano. Okay, thank you. Thank you. In 2022, the three co-founders issued an email to staff ordering them back to one of the firm's three offices 5 days a week by July or face termination. Okay, so they wanted full time back in the office, not just a soft step. That's okay. They were one of the many companies at the time trying to get employees back to the office after the 2020 pandemic. A few months later, Newport received a termination letter reviewed by the Wall Street Journal from the other co-founders stating that he willfully and deliberately failed to report in-person work. Okay, so it's a trio of high school buddies running this firm, and the one gets kicked out by the two others.
Sounds that
As
way.
as as am I tracking so far?
So far, keep reading.
It's one of the few instances where an executive has faced discipline for working remotely. Well, and one of the few instances where an executive has faced discipline for, yeah, anything. for non-compliance with their own policies. Rules are for thee, not for me. Oh. Newport filed a lawsuit this past May against Bramshill's Human Resources Company, claiming the return to police office. That's a good
You, s-
one.
you sound like me now.
Yeah, the return to office policy was an excuse to usurp him from his role and claims his 12% stake in the firm. Okay, it was all about him from the beginning, and he wants his chunk of the pie. The policy presumably did not apply to ownership, so he, quote, appropriately ignored the email, according to the suit. Why would it presumably, well, to
These three
ownership?
guys got together, said, "Hey, yeah, we need everybody to come back to work." Sent
Yeah,
out the email,
yeah.
ignored
Presumably
it.
not apply to ownership, though. I can see in a like a legalistic sense why it would not apply to ownership. He has like a vested stake in the firm, 12% stake. So investors, stakeholders in the company are not required to go in and show up at the office, right? If you've put
If
money
you're
in
only a
and you're
stakeholder,
just
but he's also the
right.
compliance officer.
Yes, exactly. I think that's the legal shenanigan he's trying to run here. It sounds like he's trying to act as though he is an investor only and say, I am just an owner. I was not part of that, as opposed to actually performing his role as an employed executive, too, right? He was getting a paycheck for being the chief compliance officer, right? So I don't think
He wasn't
his email's
complying.
gonna
He wasn't
go
there.
anywhere. But I'm sorry.
That he wasn't complying.
Yeah. Oh, such delicious irony too. Yeah. Um, yeah, I would be surprised if this goes anywhere, but I get surprised by illegal stuff all the time. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to serve the person with the deepest pockets. Um, he is seeking
Fortunately,
at
true.
least $30 million in lost earnings, profits, and the value of his 12% stake, according to the suit. Okay, so that's something. Did they fire him and revoke his ownership? That's a big thing. If he still retained his ownership in the company, then he should have a say in whether he gets canned or not. But I guess if the other two guys collectively have enough that they're already a majority, or at least a plurality to the point that he can't get around it, then I don't know. I don't know. This is kind of interesting now. I'm kind of getting sucked in here. So as attorney, Newport's attorney Matthew Press said the policy was not a valid reason for termination and only applied to employees. All right, okay, yeah. Newport was living in San Ramon, California, hundreds of miles away from the company's closest office in Newport Beach. The filing claims that Newport moved to San Ramon in 2017 with approval from his co-founders. They had to approve him. Well, I guess if he wasn't, okay. But soon after, the pair allegedly tried to force him out and offered to buy him out in 2021.
I don't hear forcing. I hear shit. You're not doing anything. You're moving away. Okay, here, let us buy you out.
Yeah,
No, fuck. Oh, COVID. Shit.
yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the next year after July return to office deadline, DeGaetano wrote Newport, quote, we have both junior and senior employees commuting over 1 hour each day to work, and yet you feel this policy doesn't apply to you. Okay, so it doesn't sound like he was blindsided by this either. DeGaetano gave his partner 30 days to 30 days to course correct, though Newport claimed the notice wasn't valid because it had to be delivered by hand, fax, or mail. Okay. Newport then revived discussions of a buyout, but was fired before the month was done, according to the filing. Uh. Okay. A spokesperson for Bramshill told the Wall Street Journal that Newport was fabricating accusations and that the legal process would show the other co-founders did nothing wrong. Newport now works remotely for a Nevada startup. Okay. He's just not going to show up somewhere else instead.
Yeah.
Working from home anywhere he goes.
It's harder not to show your ass when you don't have to look at the person.
I'm sorry, harder to what? Harder to
I mean,
show.
it's harder to show your ass when you don't have to look at a person. When you don't have to be around this. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got an article here. When you were done with that one, Mark, one to surprise you because I know you like
Yeah.
surprises.
Yay. Okay, what is it? I don't know whether to be scared or not.
Uh, you probably don't have to be scared. It's probably gonna make you keep your eyes open because you like Taco Bell, right?
I have liked Taco Bell. Are you going to give me a reason not to?
I think so.
Are there tacos made
No.
with horse meat?
We'll find out. It says Taco Bell probed over possible role in outbreak of, in quote, explosive diarrhea infection
Oh
across U.S.
boy.
reports. Came out yesterday morning. Uh, so it's a fairly new article. Yeah, Taco Bell is being probed by federal and state health investigators for this potential role in a fast-moving food poisoning outbreak that has sickened thousands across the country, according to a report. Some victims told investigators that they've eaten at Taco Bell, though others said they had not, according to a Washington Post report citing two anonymous sources involved in the government investigations. Thousands of people across the U.S. states, including New York, have been infected with a parasite called cyclosporosis, uh, which causes explosive diarrhea, vomiting, and bloating, among other.
Explosive, watery diarrhea. Don't forget from last time.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
it's the
was.
same. It's the same
This
bug.
is
Yeah.
explosive, explosive diarrhea, vomiting, and bloating. I'm sorry to be laughing at the people out there with the explosive, but reading it is hilarious.
It's
But anyhow,
no.
I was laughing at the correction.
yeah. It doesn't say watery on this article. The last article it said watery because this is going around in companies, obviously. But yeah, among other debilitating symptoms, the center of outbreak is in Michigan, where some Taco Bell eateries informed customers that they removed several ingredients from their menu last week. We are currently unable to sell lettuce, cilantro, onion, pico de gallo, and guacamole due to nationwide recall, according to signs posted at some of Michigan Taco Bell locations, according to the WWJ report. We apologize for the inconvenience. Any items ordered that normally come with these will not contain them. Taco Bell said in a statement, the health and safety of our guests is top priority. Public health officials have not confirmed a link to Taco Bell or any specific ingredient, supplier, restaurant, or retailer. While the authorities continue their broader view, Taco Bell has voluntarily and temporarily removed the limited ingredients at select restaurants as a precautionary measure. We will continue to closely monitor the situation and follow the guidance of public health authorities. Food suppliers and restaurants are always involved in investigations and privy to the information before the general public, according to experts. Most of the time, these outbreaks, the government and the food industry knows way more than we do, said the poisoning attorney, Bill Marler. Taco Bell is either being proactive or they know something that we don't. These reports are an indication that Taco Bell definitely warrants attention, said Patrick Quaid, chief executive and founder of iwaspoisoned.com. Leanne
Wait, so
Jacobs,
is their argument that Taco Bell's being proactive, so they're suspicious? Is that the gist?
yeah, Taco Bell, they
Okay.
might know something that we don't know.
Uh, okay.
Or maybe they
Uh,
thought, oh, this is usually linked to a
Yeah.
gradient that we use a lot. Let's
and
make
then
sure it's not us.
There's confirmed
Yeah.
cases around me.
um,
Congratulations.
Near Taco Bells.
There's
uh,
Taco Bells all over the place, so I
Oh,
don't
that's
know
true.
if it's Taco Bell or not, but I saw in the news this morning that there's been 5 confirmed cases really close to where I live.
Cool.
luck
Wow.
with that one.
It's,
Need Taco
it's
Bell.
not just in Michigan.
Uh,
Apparently, it's made its way to Kansas as well.
You're not too far from Carolina.
yeah, so finish the article. Leanne Jacobs, a professor of food, bioprocessing, and nutrition scientist at North Carolina State University, said the preliminary investigation might have some evidence that Taco Bell product is implicated. Taco Bell may be saying this out of an abundance of caution, but the question is whether they have background information indicating that we may see a recall. Cyclosporiasis is typically caused by drinking water containing human feces or raw produce, including lettuce, mixed salad packages, basil, cilantro, raspberries that come in contact with infected water. Uh, one
Lettuce is a
victim
lot in
One victim of the outbreak, Christy Cooper of Texas, was diagnosed with the parasite after being hospitalized. She told the Post she lost 10 pounds since the onset of her ordeal, which she believes was caused by the bag salad she purchased at the grocery store. More than 5,100 people across 34 states have potentially been sickened by cyclosporiasis since May, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. A vast majority of the infections are in Michigan, which are reported a 1,000 spike over the weekend to 2,640 victims on Monday, according to the
So
Michigan
doubled over
Department of
the
Health and
weekend?
Human Services. Yes.
Wow.
No calls related to this outbreak have been conducted, the agency said. While the investigation is ongoing, current results point to lettuce and salad greens as potential source for this outbreak. Although other food items cannot be completely ruled out, the Michigan Health Department said in a statement, no specific type of produce, grower, or supplier has been identified as the source. The, ang- the agency declined to address whether it has spoken specifically with Taco Bell, but a spokesperson for the agency said MDARD continues to work with companies to conduct menu ingredient confirmation and product traceback efforts within the supply chain. The website iwaspoisoned.com, which tracks food poisoning incidents and is often an early warning indicator. Outbreaks told posts that 10 people became ill after eating at Taco Bell in Tawas, Tawas City or Tawas, uh, Tawas City, Michigan at 709 East Lake Street. The reports filed on July 11th, and one of the victims wrote, "Me and 7 men ate here while working for the power company on the night shift, and all of us got the same kind of sick, nausea, liquid diarrhea, fever, vomiting all the time, and mine has not gone away." Uh, yeah, I'm on like day 5. That's all the article says. But this
That
exploding
sounds
diarrhea is
miserable.
going around. Remember, we were just talking about that for another last week about it going around in stores with the bag salad, and I just ate a bag salad the night before, and I'm feeling good. Um, but
Yeah,
it went
there's
that
not many
fast
cases
from
in California so far, so you're probably good. But Dr. Google says that it can take uh 2 to 14 days after exposure before symptoms appear. So,
Oh, wonderful.
yeah,
you're basically like you still got a chance.
yeah, you still might be on the countdown clock to your sudden, profuse, watery diarrhea. Thank you, Google.
uh, not
Tacos
not looking
are
forward to it.
really, really good, but I don't think I want to have any for a while.
I'm
You see, it's not the
glad I,
tacos that
Yeah.
are bothering me. I had tacos last night. It's the salad that we put on it, the
uh-oh.
lettuce.
Where'd your cilantro come from?
And my mom loves
Cilantro's
salad.
an herb, you just,
We have salad at
yeah,
least 2 or 3 times a week for dinner or lunch.
I mean, yeah, it's,
That
Do
was
you?
delicious.
I mean, yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Do you guys
most
like grow your
frequently
own lettuce?
associated with the raw, fresh produce like bag salad mixes, cilantro, and berries. So wash it all
Well,
very
that's something my
thoroughly,
dad does. But it says
and
when it's contact with the water.
yeah, well,
Mm.
And my dad always washes the salad.
They're
wash it
gonna make
with
me eat fast food.
wash it with clean water.
Eat fast
Oh,
food that
always.
I'm
doesn't
glad I ate
have
at
that
Chipotle
stuff.
yesterday.
Eat
Yeah.
chicken. Eat more chicken, like Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. Oh, I got a spicy chicken sandwich in the fridge too. Oh, I forgot about that. Yummy.
We
And they don't
used the
put
left
lettuce on those.
we used the leftover chicken to make chicken salads.
Hmm. Um,
Yeah, when I reheat the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches, first I put a mug of water in the microwave and I run it until it has boiled and made the whole thing like a big steam bath. And then I put the mug over in the corner and the sandwich on the plate in the middle, and I do it on like half power, and it kind of steams the chicken sandwich back to temperature rather than microwaving it so that it doesn't get that like microwaved uh bread bun
We
weirdness
just
and stuff.
slice up
It's
the extra chicken and put it in a
oh,
salad, and then we feed the buns to the dogs.
oh. Well, you
I've
can
done like a damp
try
paper towel over it before.
yeah, yeah, that helps too. Yeah, but the having the entire, I mean, I opened the door briefly, so it kind of lets some of it, but having it basically like a steam bath already, and then reheating the water with the thing over in the corner and steaming it up again really helps to um, keep the temperature kind of more uniform and prevent the water from inside the bun and the chicken from evaporating out, because the once the microwave's volume of air is saturated and reaches 100% relative humidity, no more water can, evaporate out of the chicken like that. It just gets steam bath, and then the steam can continue to heat up. But, um, it's not going to be escaping out of the chicken like it does normally. So, that does a really good job. I do that with like egg McMuffins too. Those do really well with the um, the coffee mug technique. Need to come up with a name, some fancy name for that reheating technique. The Mark method. That's not a fancy name, but I'll still give myself credit
Got
for it.
something for you, Mark.
Some what?
You can give yourself some credit for this article that you sent me. I was looking at it. I figured you could explain it because you sent it to me. Uh,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
well, just
check
because
that
I
out.
send something doesn't mean I can explain it. But
You can
yeah,
help me
I
read it, or you can
I
just read
didn't
it.
yeah, I didn't read the whole thing beforehand either. I saw the article, I kind of read a summary, and it was pretty interesting, I thought, and I thought it would be an interesting discussion. Um,
There you go.
excuse me. Yeah, let me get all ready and ah, okay. Let's see. The title from Forbes article is called "What Happened to Adulthood? Welcome to Gen Z's Liquid Adulthood." Um, so adulthood used to be solid, but now it's liquid. When will it become gaseous? At this rate, it's going to evaporate. Traditional markers of adulthood, long-term employment, home ownership, family formation, and community have shifted. The burden of building a coherent life and identity falls entirely on the self, without the scaffolding previous generations relied on to extend a concept from Polish British sociologist Zygmunt Bauman, quote, "In a liquid modern life, there are no permanent bonds, and any that we take up for a time must be tied loosely so they can be united again." What?
Be
I don't
untied.
untied. Thank you. Yes, that makes a bit more sense. Let me go back. So, in a liquid modern life, there are no permanent bonds. That's sad. And any that we take up for a time must be tied loosely so that they can be untied again. That's a sad concept. Do you guys agree? Is that just like,
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
that's okay? The same is true today of adulthood. There are now 5 dimensions to understanding modern adulthood. Okay. First one, liquid identity. Historically, identity was inherited, not constructed. A coal miner in Yorkshire, England, would likely work in the same pit his father had worked until the 1970s. In parts of India, the caste system determines your social status, marriage prospects, and occupation before birth. For centuries, societal norms confirmed or confined women to the domestic sphere with the primary role of wife, mother, and homemaker. Until recently, humans didn't need to answer, "Who am I?" It was predetermined by your family, village, religion, class, gender, occupation, and ethnicity. well, we have postmodernism to thank for all of that. Just, yeah, I'm sorry. That's a tangent. Um, but it is kind of a relevant tangent. A lot of people don't think about or don't realize outside of like the academic sphere that there's been kind of a systematic destruction over the course of the 20th century of um, ideas like there is an absolute objective truth or that such a thing is even possible. Um, you know, definitions of, identity. Um, all of this stuff, they say, used to be predetermined by your family, village, religion, class, gender, occupation, ethnicity. Um, yeah. Um, okay. Anyway. Um, well, okay. Yeah, that's why you see this problem with Gen Z in America, mostly in Europe as a secondary reference point. I can't speak firsthand to Europe though, but definitely in America, all of these identity issues all arise out of the postmodernist rejection of um, the yeah, the traditional ideas and concepts of identity and um, yeah, okay. So continuing on. Around 24% of the world is now non-religious compared to 0.2% in 1900, with the fastest change happening in developed countries. Organized religion offered a shared narrative of who we are and the meaning of life. More than 58% of the world's population lives in urban areas today compared to less than 30% in 1950. Rural communities form stronger bonds and exhibit higher levels of interdependency. Union memberships have halved from 30% in 1985 to 15% today, following the decline in manufacturing industry, according to OECD data. The institutions which once orchestrated and anchored identity have slowly dissolved. Identity is no longer inherited, but something we construct, perform, and update. Brands become the primary tool for identity formation, expression, and belonging. I don't agree. I don't agree with that necessarily. Brands becoming the primary tool for identity formation. Yeah, I don't know. They're just making that claim, not offering any reason for that.
I think it
So,
depends on what you call brand.
right. Well,
Brand as in um, Nike or brand as in a football club. They're
but I
still
mean, even the
technically
football
brands.
clubs are, the jerseys are printed on Nike brand, whatever, and if you don't have the official Nike jersey from the football club, then it's a like a bootleg. Um, it's still. I think that they're setting up this language and framing it like this so that they can take a shot at capitalism. Um, I don't think that they're necessarily um, that their claim there necessarily follows from anything in the context of that claim. Union membership halves, decline of manufacturing industries, and brand brands are now primary tool. What? Like, I don't know. I don't know. They're just saying that. Um, no. Okay, number two, they say liquid foundations. The biggest and often least discussed driver of liquid adulthood is the cost of housing. Least discussed? I don't think so. In the UK, the average house price has jumped from 3.5 times the average salary to 8 times since the 1990s. In the US, the median home price has risen from a little more than 3 times the household income to 5 times since the 1990s. Paradoxically, rent and home ownership have surged while consumer goods like electronics and clothing have become more affordable. In the 1980s, mobile phones were a luxury item that would cost $4,000, representing 10 to 20% of annual income. Today, consumer goods are within reach, but adulthood is expensive. Um, in global cities, rent exceeds 50% of total salary. New York 81, London 75, Dubai 59. Well, New York is just insane. Um, I don't know. Have you guys heard or aware of any of that whole hubbub that one congressman who wants to deport Mamdani? That would be an
I think I've heard
interest.
that name on the news.
Yeah, Mamdani is the like socialist capitalist or socialist communist mayor of New York City, Muslim mayor, um, instituting all kinds of insane policies that are just going to destroy New York. Um, but yeah, he's I don't know. That might be something to talk about afterwards. But um, yeah, okay. Where was it? An economy in an economy where house prices rise, wages stagnate, and early career opportunities are dwindling, young people have less money left after rent to spend on anything other than small treats that make life feel more palatable. Small treats that make life feel more palatable. When you compare those small treats to the highest grade luxury items like a $4,000 mobile phone in 1980 compared to like the like low tier, low income Americans who still have smartphones somehow. Like
I think that's
these
the luxury they were
the
talking
poor
about.
of the poor, right? Well, poorest of the poor today still have more than the poorest of the poor did a century ago. So they're not.
Free phone programs these days.
It's what?
So I said they have free program where they give out phones and stuff these days. So
Yeah, I
definitely
mean, yeah.
everyone has a phone.
And the cell phones that people use these days are far more powerful than any of the biggest supercomputers that were, running back in 1980. They were used to develop like a stealth bomber and like run all the calculations for all of these, like the weather forecasting systems and stuff. And now, I mean, yeah, now the thing I'm using to run that lava lamp view is bigger and stronger, more powerful than all that. Like, they're not, I don't know. Um, it's not an objective picture they're painting. Um, for the first time in a century, young people's future depends less on personal effort or income and more on what they stand to inherit. A $5 matcha replaces a mortgage deposit. What? A $15 lip gloss replaces a summer holiday, and a $100 pair of sneakers replaces the first car. Okay. Um, the desire to enjoy life and seek remote emotional rewards hasn't changed. It's simply been resized to fit the current economic reality. Young adults are staying in the family home for longer into their 20s and 30s, redefining independence. Adulthood is no longer marked by asset ownership, or adulthood is no longer marked by asset ownership. However, consumption doesn't disappear, it becomes smaller, more immediate, and symbolic. Um, okay. Liquid work. A job was once for life, with a clear path for progression and stability to build the rest of your life around the rest of your adult life around. Whereas work prospects today are uncertain, temporary, and not promised. Where? See that I don't know. They should have either merged those sentences with a semicolon or rephrased that second one. It's kind of a fragment the way it's hanging right there. Or they should have put a comma after whereas.
That makes more sense.
They're not, yeah. Bad Forbes staff writer and
Editor, more like.
editor and like
No, I
whole
wouldn't.
work stream chain for nobody ever catching that. Not even running
You
it
made
through
me
Chat
start.
GPT to double check their grammar. Gosh.
Wait,
You made me start
oh, I
working on
use
my
Grammarly.
punctuation. Um, every
Well,
time Mark reads something, he says something. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start working on my punctuation, so
I
I know
mean,
that I'm right.
just
Um,
consider how difficult it is reading all of these posts that you've done that are
yes,
done without any punctuation. It makes
yeah.
it so much easier for everybody if you're actually trying to communicate.
Period. Yeah,
Yeah,
comma. A lot of these posts that I read, yeah, on
just
especially on Reddit, no
yeah,
periods, no commas, and you
one
just
big red
gotta
line.
figure out where the beginning might be of another sentence.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how you do it. um,
Sometimes you gotta paraphrase and keep going because
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
But
okay. Gen Z's average job tenure is a little more than 1 year. Well, no wonder they're not building a career that leads to like job hopping like that is not the route to get a big, like, stable, lifelong career if that's what you wanted. Or, I don't know. I don't know. Why is it that way? Hmm. Beyond the economic and psychological strain, work becomes another domain for young people to reconstruct meaning. What? Work is not. Ah, okay.
Sometimes you have to
Uh,
read the whole paragraph for it to make sense.
yeah. As careers become more fragmented, transactional, and remote, work provides fewer of the relationships and routines that once anchored adulthood. I don't know. It's it's not a. It's not necessarily because that must be. That is just the way it is being done. It's a cultural thing, not a um, out of necessity. They could work longer. I mean, I'm assuming they could work at a job longer instead of just job hopping like that. Unless all of these careers are just or all of these companies are just laying off all of their workers 1 year after they're hired, which I mean in any sort of technical field, technical capacity, um, when you get hired to do something, there is a what an onboarding process that you're not immediately going and generating all kinds of value to the company. You need to be taught what it is that you're doing before you become an actual productive contributor to the system. So if they're leaving after an average of 1 year, they're never going to be competent contributors to any STEM field, like barring any sort of just once in a generation savant syndrome type of capacity to learn on their own, which is probably not going to be somebody who's job hopping year after year. They're probably going to be going off and doing their own startup, whatever. Um, so, yeah, I don't know. The job making the job tenure an average of a little more than 1 year, I think, is a cause of a lot of this work problem that they're, and strain that they're, I don't know. It's, yeah, I don't know. When I was in engineering, like I was not like a big, or I was not a contributor to anything. I was all hand holding basically for pretty much the first year or so that I was working there before I started actually getting the technical details of all of what was going on and what the lingo of the industry was and everything. So if these Gen Z workers are graduating and entering a workforce and then leaving each job after a year, um, that's going to close off all of the big, high paying, high powered um, technical fields from them. You know, you can't be a competent engineer if you don't work at a company long enough to even learn the names of all their products and how the design of their engines work or something, if that's what they're working. So this is, I don't know.
I know a lot of people where I'm from. They would go get jobs at like Facebook, Google, and Amazon because those are center of the tech. Like everything about tech is in the Bay Area, and you can just go
Yeah,
get a job at one of those companies with no problem. And Tesla's there, so Tesla and then Facebook, Amazon, and Google. It's always open job for people, but a lot of people they're jumping around from this job to that job with
yeah.
each of those companies, sometimes working in kitchen, sometimes doing other things. But yeah, uh, there's a
Okay.
lot of people doing that. But like it said, they're leaving and they're not doing it long.
And I mean, even that, a lot of those companies are moving. Well, I don't know. I guess that doesn't change the work habit necessarily of those. I mean, unless there's a big shift in or difference in attitude of the workforce or the available workforce between, like I know SpaceX moved a lot of its stuff out of California over to
Texas,
Texas, right? Is there a
yeah,
big difference in the attitude of the workforce available to them in Texas compared to the Californians that they had, beyond just the economic advantage that they're getting from the taxes that they have to pay? Like, are there you know,
I
um,
heard that we lost a lot of money when he left.
yeah,
Um, yeah, somebody was saying on another article that it was a bad idea. We should have gave him the money or something like that, or the land or some shit, and he
I
wouldn't have
mean,
left. But yeah,
yeah, but I'm betting like California, um, political power players don't like the idea of having Elon Musk telling them what to do. Like they're the
right.
overlords of California. How dare he tell them? And yeah, so just up and well, fine, I'm gonna go over here where they're actually gonna listen to what I tell them I need for my, to continue bringing in all this tax revenue for you guys. So yeah, and suddenly all of that tax revenue is not there. And I mean, pretty much exactly what he said would happen, right? If you don't help me out in this regard, I'm going to move my factories, my workforce over there. It'll cost me money in the immediate term, but in the long run, um, it'll end up being a net savings based on, taxes and um, yeah, wages, salary. Um, yeah, California workers are expensive because California makes Californian workers expensive. Um, anyway, where were we? There's more here. Careers become more fragmented, transactional and remote. Work provides fewer of the relationships and routine that once anchored adulthood. That I definitely can see. That makes sense. But I don't know if that's necessarily just the work. Everything is fragmenting individuals. They're becoming siloed within them, like their own little social media ecosystems almost. Uh, the average young person in the US is likely to have over 10 jobs in their lifetime. That's if they're lucky to be able to secure an entry level job. According to Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, in an interview with Axios in 2025, quote, AI could wipe out half of all entry level white collar jobs and spike unemployment to 10 to 20% in the next 1 to 5 years. Well, yeah, that could be why none of them want to do it. Only time will tell if the proclamation becomes reality. There's been a lot of economic prophecies in the past over big revolutions that don't ever actually come to pass. But young people are already turning against AI. Recent graduation speeches have been mired with loud booing of AI. A new report shows that 44% of Gen Z workers have admitted to sabotaging their employer's AI deployment as a form of rebellion. Well, yeah, that would make that would make employees less attractive to employ, wouldn't it? If they're going to be actively sabotaging the work that they're. Ugh, I don't know. The backlash against AI implementation is real and growing. This feels weird because historically, young people have been the first to adopt new technologies, from the internet to social media and smartphones. Well, these are different young people than the ones that adopted smartphones and the internet. As work becomes more liquid, young people are increasingly seeking maintaining identity and belonging. Okay, seeking meaning, identity, and belonging elsewhere. I don't know why that was hard to parse for me. Perhaps liquid relationships. Perhaps the most visible feature of modern adulthood is liquid relationships. Before the internet, relationships were rooted in geographic proximity, meaning they happened face to face. In other words, relationships were solid. It was much harder to ghost someone you would bump into in the local neighborhood. Yeah. Or in the office. Ugh, sorry. Today, relationships are more rootless, mediated through apps, screens, and algorithms. Before 1995, 0% of couples had met online. By 2017, 39% met online, making it one of the most common ways, overtaking friends, work, and family. At the same time, partly driven by housing unaffordability, women's rising educational and professional attainment, and growing individualism, young people are marrying later, having fewer children, and spending more time alone than previous generations. Well, I mean, and there's questions about why the birth rate is declining. It's like you're telling him to stop.
We have
Uh,
too many of us already.
mm, um,
Says
the
the
most,
mother.
the most visible form of liquid relationships is situationships. Romantic connections without clear labels or commitment. They're a symptom but not the cause of liquid relationships. Dating apps offer an infinite pool of candidates without the need to commit. Till Death Do Us Part has been replaced by Let's See What Happens. That's a big problem, though. At the same time, relationships are no longer limited to humans. That's a big problem. Young people are using AI companions for emotional support, while the single person household is now the fastest growing household type globally. Brands should activate a two pronged strategy. First, help young people connect in the real world. Second, be inclusive and accessible to individuals who exist outside the confines of a traditional nuclear family. Well, I don't know. I guess Forbes, so they're talking to business brand nerd people, but uh,
Yeah,
um,
that last sentence kind of.
it's like they want to help the problem
uh,
be a bigger problem. I mean, that's what I don't know. Liquid futures. How many more? Okay, this is the last one. So, liquid futures. Despite the doom and gloom news cycle, you could argue we're living in the best time in human history. They're not talking like it is that way. In general, we live longer, healthier, safer, wealthier, and more peaceful lives. In 1900, the average global life expectancy was 32 years. In 2026, the average global life expectancy is 73 years. And this author clearly knows how to lie with statistics because that's just,
That's off. You gotta remember the wars.
well, I mean,
Or
infant
not the wars.
mortality is
Yeah,
in 1900s before widespread antibiotics. I
yeah, the
mean,
wars hadn't happened yet.
and so, yeah, if you exclude infant mortality and um, war deaths, then you
Plagues.
about as average or about as likely to live into your 60s, 70s, even 80s as the average person is today. They're not, yeah, when they give these statistics like that, average life expectancy was only 40 years, was only 30 years. So then you picture nobody in that culture lived to have long white beards or, white hair, nice little grandmotherly people. It's like, no, that's not the way those, that's not what those numbers say. unless you completely ignore the context of how those numbers came to be,
Work.
which is what they do and why they use them that way. Uh, yeah. However, a longer life expectancy leads to a slower transfer of wealth and power compared to previous generations. So what? In the US, baby boomers control 52% of the nation's wealth, despite making up 20% of the population. So what? What, what does that have to do with anything? In
They've
business, the
lived
average,
longer. They've been able to. Um,
right, but it's just a number. It's statistic. It doesn't have any necessarily it doesn't necessarily have any relevance to this. They're just saying baby boomers are
to me, it makes
older
sense that an
and
older
have lived
generation would have more
longer.
wealth than the lower.
Yeah, baby boomers are older and have lived longer and thus have over their lifetime accumulated larger, retirement funds, whatever. They're living off of that, so that's all getting drained at the same time. But yeah, when they include like baby boomers' retirement accounts into stuff like this. Yeah, baby boomers look like they're hogging all of the money, all of the wealth and everything. And that's not the way that things are working. That's not what is actually happening. It's a mischaracterization of reality in favor of a very specific idea of reality. Um, in business, the average age of a board of directors is 60 years old, while 50% of the world's population is under 30. What does the world's populate, like globally, 50% of the world's population? What is like the average age
Yeah, that
of
would be
a person in
including.
India have to do with the the current state of the Zoomer generation in America? They're
What
just,
about that's including people that aren't even old enough to work yet?
yeah. And I mean, mm, yeah, why would you, yeah,
My son is
mm,
definitely under 30, but he is
yeah.
definitely not old enough to work.
He's definitely not going to be appointed to any company's board of directors, is he?
No, not unless they want everything to be about dragons.
Oh, well, okay. Well, there is a market. Um, yeah, there is a
Was that
disconnect between who makes decisions and whose future is most affected.
Okay, that I
That
can agree
statement,
with.
huh?
That statement at, on its own, I can agree with.
Yes, I agree with it too. And that has always been the case. That's always been true. It's not unique to the Zoomers, so they're not uh, whatever. Young people are living in a gerontocracy. I don't know. A system where governments and decision makers are significantly older than most of the population. Okay, so they're just inventing a word to get young people angry at old people. When
sounds like it?
has a government
I'm
ever
trying to break that
had
word down.
been younger than its average population? Or even like right at the same, it's like they're trying to bake into this an assumption that the statistics, the bell curves, the demographics should be exactly the same. If it were fair, then the average age of the politicians would be the same as the average age of the people there. And the fact that it doesn't means that they're not being represented fairly. No, no, I reject that. I reject that idea. Um,
Sorry, I'm looking up
older people,
Merriam-Webster.
older
Webster.
people um, can be in charge of a government and make decisions on behalf of and for the benefit of the younger people in their nation. Its age is not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. It's just part of life. And framing it as a generational clash is dishonest. I mean, trying to make it seem like it's any different from any other time in history because the older people with experience have always been overrepresented, so to speak, in the arena of political authority as compared to the overall, just the entire bell curve of the rest of the population. Because you don't want your little children part of that whole decision process. Why is that not? Uh, yeah, I don't know. Mm, I don't know.
Oh, sorry to be a gerontocracy is not actually a made up word. Well, it is a made up word. It was coined in the 19th century in France.
Hmm.
And this is according to Oxford.
Yeah, but I mean, still made up. The
Yeah,
state or society governed by old people. It's not like
but it wasn't made up
it's
just for this article.
right. Yeah. Okay. But still, it's yeah, it's a manufactured word. Yes, a form of oligarchical rule where the leaders are older than most of the population. Formed in the 19th century, that's right around the time of the big um when like fashionable Marxist socialist intellectual movement was going on around in the um, uh, Europe, Enlightenment era Europe. Um, so yeah, I mean, in that sense, I kind of would. It goes back further than just this article, but it was invented for a political purpose to demonize a scenario where older people generally have more authority than younger people.
That being
Um,
said, how do you feel about uh, age limits on, um, oh crap, where did you go? You guys
oh,
left. Oh,
yeah,
did I do
there we
something?
go. You turned
Oh no.
sideways for a
Oh,
second.
what do you feel about age limits? Like, if you are past this age, you cannot run for this particular office.
Mm, I don't know. I don't think that an upper limit on age is as as important as just the lower limit. I definitely support the minimum age to hold presidency. That makes a lot of sense. Back when I was like 20, I was like, dumb. I'm an adult too. I'm just as smart as I will be when I'm 35. Why shouldn't I be able to run now? Not that I ever wanted to run for president, but the sentiment was there. And then, when I got to 35 and looked back, I was like, it's a good thing I wouldn't have been eligible back then because yeah, there was a big difference in the um, even just
I'd vote for
the
you.
maturity of the level of development of formation of the values that I had. They just weren't as thought out, weren't as um, um, well founded. Um, you know,
I'd vote for you if you ran for president. Just throwing that out there.
thank you. Please don't, though. Please don't write me in. Um, yeah, I don't want that job. uh, but it's I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. There are some definitely some big issues underlying with all of this, but I don't know. I'm torn. I agree with some aspects of what they say, but I disagree with their assumed underlying causes of those issues and stuff. It's I don't know. It's an interesting article. I might actually want to reread it later after this and see if I
Work
can
out some of the
better kind of.
wording.
Well, no, it's not it's the concepts. Like, why do I necessarily agree with X or Y? Which, I've said here, but it's still, I don't know, it could be stated better, I think. I don't know. It's important to understand the viewpoints of the people you disagree with, I think. And I'm not sure I entirely understand um, everything that they're saying here. They make so many assumptions as just given that um, I don't know. I think that might be a lot of why I just have a knee-jerk reaction against it. They're saying things that they assume, and I don't, and that can make things sound nuts. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep this tab open and go back. Uh, But
We'll get a part two later.
maybe I don't know. Hopefully not.
Um,
That was a long article, but at the very least, I kind of want to understand it. Make sure I understand what they're trying to say.
I gotta go. My phone is toast. It's
Oh,
telling me it's
hey,
low battery.
toast. Oh, I see what you did there.
all right. See you later, toaster. Um,
Please
we're
like
gonna,
and subscribe.
yeah.
Um, okay.
I had
What
another
else?
article that you sent me,
Another
and they
one that
let
I
me read
sent.
it. Yeah, the Guardian um, page. It used to just tell me I couldn't read it unless I paid like 3.49 or something like that. But I said no to it, and then it just let me read it.
Oh,
So I'm gonna, yeah. So I'm gonna read it then. It says death sentence. Trump administration opens habitats to endangered species. No, opens habitats of endangered species to logging and mining. Habitat destruction, strongest driver of species loss, with legislation, with the legislation keeping 99% of listed species from going extinct. The Trump administration repealed a crucial part of the Endangered Species Act on Friday, finalizing new rules that will open habitats of imperiled wildlife to development, logging, and mining, and other uses. For the last 50 years, the landmark environmental law included a broader understanding for the word, in quote, harm, which ensured that not just the plants and animals themselves were protected, but also the places that are critical to their survival, the inclusion of the habitat in which they, in quote, harm definition was upheld by the Supreme Court in 1995, which ruled in support of old growth forest protections relied on by endangered spotted owls. But despite the widespread public support for strong ESA and hundreds of thousands of public comments submitted opposing the change, the Department of Interior and Department of Commerce reframed the definition as, in quote, regulatory intrusion that interfered with the private property of rights, and announced it as will be rescinded. Habitat destruction is considered the strongest driver of loss of species or species loss. The legislation has helped safeguard more than 1,700 species and their habitats, preventing 99% of those listed from going extinct. Most famously, the bald eagle. Experts fear the move could cause catastrophic damage to the species already close to the brink. For the first time ever, the presidential administration now claims the species protected by Endangered Species Act shouldn't be safe from habitat modification that destroys where they live, raise their young, or search for food. Earth Justice Earth Justice Attorney Kristen Boyles said in a statement. Stephanie Kouros, Deputy Director of Government Affairs and Center for Biological Diversity, said the plan would be, in quote, a death sentence for wolverines, monarch butterflies, Florida manatees, and so many other animals and plants that desperately need our help. What the proposal was first released last year. The erosion and regulations come amid an extinction emergency as the climate crisis adds new challenges to recovery. Roughly 1 million species are threatened with the extinction, according to the 2019 assessment from inter is it intergovernmental science policy platforms on biodiversity and ecosystem services, including roughly 40,000 of amphibians and a third of reef forming corals, marine mammals, and sharks. Insects considered the bedrock of biodiversity and foundation of most ecosystems on Earth are in rapid decline. About 80% of insect species have yet to be identified, and some are disappearing before they can be named. Impacts to habitat can be threatened. A broader network of interconnected species and ecosystems, landscape modifications can trigger devastating domino effect. Domino effect. I'm so sorry. My vision's getting worse, you guys. Where the loss of one species leads to the extinction of others that depends on it. The U.S. public broadly supports species protections. A 2023 poll found that 80% of registered voters favored full funding of the ESA, and 73% view biodiversity as an important to their everyday lives. But the Trump administration officials claimed that the rules were changed to better align with what they believe is the original intent of the law, accusing federal agencies of abusing ESAs, obstruct lawful land use, and burden American families and business. Interior Secretary Doug Bergman said in a statement that the protections turned active routine activity with a regulatory trap. Um, this article is really long, but yeah, we're trying to take areas where basically supposed to be at because they're not, I was going to say, running out of those animals, endangered species, which is going to be messed up. They're going to have like those, they're going to be like dinosaurs, basically. We're just going to have bones and not have those animals anymore. Mark, you
Habitat
sent me
loss, I
that, so I'm
believe,
assuming
is
you knew more than I knew.
Well, I saw the manatees and manatees Florida thing, so that caught my eye. But yeah, um,
habitat loss is a huge reason why animal populations go down.
Yeah, Florida, it said something about Florida, so look into that, Mark. We don't have manatees that I know of, but
no, they're an
I know.
Atlantic Caribbean thing, Florida
Oh,
mostly.
cool.
Yeah.
You ever seen one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they like to hang out near coastal power plants. The warm water from the cooling loop keeps them toasty in the winter time. So if you're ever down in the winter, there's a lot of manatee viewing options near near a lot of the power plants. Or not a lot of the power plants. It's not like there's power plants all across the coast, but there are a couple that have specific viewing. Actually, let me see.
Manatees are cool. Sea
Manatee Viewing
cows.
Center, Nature Preserve, Apollo Beach, Florida. That sounds familiar. Yeah, sea cows. I haven't heard that before, or I haven't heard that in a while. They got them at SeaWorld too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they're over here, but you said they're known for being over there in the East Coast where you're at. I think where you might see one of these would be like a zoo or something. Other than
Uh,
that,
yeah, a view or a zoo is among the places, but yeah. If you just do a quick Google search, Manatee Viewing Center, and then yeah, there's some. Open up this week. Continue without supporting. No, stop with all these pop-ups here. Um, Let me drop this in the chat. There's a viewing center, WTSP.com. They've got an article about Tico's Manatee Viewing Center closing for the
It's a lot of
season.
manatees.
It's a lot, yeah. Yeah, during the winter they congregate around the power plants to stay warm. So yeah, the power plants build, well, not all of them, but some of them build dedicated viewing areas that they open up during the winter time. And there's, yeah, when there's manatees there, there are a lot of manatees there. A whole herd of sea cows. Um, but yeah, they're nice, really cool animals. Love them. Love this one too. Meh. Yay. Yeah.
Cats and manatees. That's good to know about you. I can't get you a manatee, but I could get you another cat if possible. I mean, if necessary.
I mean, my parents might have something, and this one might have some opinions about that. Ah, there we go.
Okay, okay, maybe not.
Oh,
Get you a
He's
puppy.
such a pretty cat.
did you hear that,
What
Kitty?
do you think, Kitty would like a little puppy to come around?
I think in some ways, Kitty thinks that she's a bit of a dog. She grew up with a an American bulldog. Um, she was a kitten when Ginger was a puppy, and they played together. Steve, my other cat at the time, he wanted nothing to do with Kitty, but Kitty had a lot of energy, and Ginger did too. So the two of them chased each other around. Um, and yeah, Ginger get down, corner Kitty, get her face right up in there. Kitty grab both arms, claws right into Ginger's face. And Ginger
Mm,
go lift her up, and Kitty's like hanging from Ginger's face, and then drops off, and Ginger goes and sticks her face right in Kitty's nose again, and just repeat and swings Kitty around from her nose. So yes, yes,
mm.
she is very
Cat
proud
fight.
of that. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, they weren't yelling at each other or anything. There wasn't any sort of animosity. She wasn't scared. It was just playtime, you know. So yeah, that
I get
got
it.
that got a lot of energy out of the baby Kenny. But
I got an
yeah, ever
article
since
here.
then she acts a bit like a dog. She comes when I call her. She follows me around everywhere. She's kind of like a loyal dog.
Does she bark?
She well, not barking, but she does communicate. She talks. She's a vocal little bird, little baby kitty. She, yeah. More than any of the other cats that we've had, she talks back and forth. Make noises at her, and she'll talk back, and yeah. But not,
I
Jinx
could
was like
imagine
that
you
too.
talking about.
yeah. I like having a nice little conversation with my cat.
I
She's
could
a
see you
good
as a cat
listener.
person, but to talk back to a cat, I couldn't imagine you in a room talking back to the cat. Uh,
I had full conversations with my cat all the time.
man, I never had an animal of just mine other than a snake. Yeah, never had any other animal. But I do have an article here, and it says Department of Defense cuts list from recognized religion from more than 200 to only 31.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
Remember
since
seeing
being
that.
appointed, since being appointed by President Trump, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, I think that's how you say it. Pete Hegseth has stirred up controversy over his vocal campaign against diversity in the U.S. military. This time, the defense secretary appears to be targeting religious pluralism, slashing the number of religious faiths that are officially recognized by the armed services. The move has even drawn significant backlash from one of the members of Congress who feels that his faith has been singled out by the new policy. Defense Department slashes recognized religions from 211 to 31. The Department of Defense recently issued a memo changing the list of religious faiths officially recognized by the United States of America. The memo cuts the list of recognized faiths from 211 to 31. I just read that twice,
Quite
you
a cut.
guys. Yeah. The memo was signed by Anthony Tata, Tata, Tata. Um, say it as you will. Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, one of the top officials within the Department of Defense, which Trump administration has attempted to relabel to the Department of War. In the memo, Tata says that he is acting on Hegseth orders to streamline the DOW collection of religious preferences, collection of service members to enhance and deliver of targeted religious support from the chaplaincy. The revised list removes a number of previously recognized faiths, such as atheist, deist, or deist,
Deist. Deist. Yeah.
deist, trudes, or no, druids,
Druids.
and some of these names I can't say. Ekin, Ekankar,
Ikankar. Heathens, humanists,
heathens.
New Age churches, pagans, shamans, spiritualists, Unitarian, Universalists, and Wiccans. Yeah.
You want to finish that article?
I mean, I will, I guess. Yeah. Uh, I mean, some of them kind of make sense. Why would an atheist need an atheist chaplain from the 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 military
Yeah.
for their service? But whatever. The remaining 31 faiths include mostly Christian denominations as well as agnostic, Baha'i faith, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, and Sikhism, along with two categories for no religion or other religions. Okay, so, yeah, whatever. They got an umbrella term. They don't need all of that other. Um, a middle finger, quote, middle finger to the Constitution, they say. Critics of the new regulations accuse them of violating the First Amendment's guarantee of religious freedom and prohibition against state establishment of religion. Okay, well, those critics would need to um, demonstrate how this inhibits the free expression and practice of any religion. Um, and yeah, this isn't an establishing a state religion by streamlining the list. I mean, it's a bureaucratic thing. It's a bureaucratic move. It's not a yeah, whatever. Of course, they're going to say that though. Mikey Weinstein, co founder and president of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, said in a press release that the new policy was a quote, middle finger to the United States Constitution's separation of church and state. No, it isn't. He characterized the change from 211 recognized religions to 31 as, quote, another absolute, clear, filthy, and disgusting, unconstitutional, immoral, and unethical attempt to force only the approved solution, getting closer and closer to Christian nationalism. And Christian nationalism is just the boogeyman that they're trying to invent to get people to turn against Christian people. I mean, whatever. Or to marginalize conservatives who practice Christianity. You don't get to have an opinion if you're a Christian, but the others, all the other 211 religions, um, you know, yeah, whatever. Um, yeah, what some of those 211 religions are just so nonsensical that it doesn't make sense to keep them as a bureaucratic category. It's just making it easier for military personnel to fill out their form when they're enlisting. Um, a former military chaplain, speaking on condition of anonymity, told military.com that the list was, quote, an excuse for the failure to provide the free exercise of religion for all people. Um, failure to provide what failure and how has there been a failure to allow for the exercise of religion by removing a box on a list? Check. Or just check a different box, other religions. Yeah. The
Are you the
former
one that
chaplain.
sent me this article?
Huh?
I think I think you sent me this article a while back.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I remember. I don't read all like the whole thing of everything beforehand so that there's, recognition or reaction is kind of in the moment. So, yeah, I did send this. I didn't read it all beforehand. That's why I'm kind of. But anyway, Republican senators object to relabeling of Mormon church. While the reduction of religious faith has alarmed advocates for religious freedom, the new list is also drawing controversy for how it lists one of the faiths that remain recognized. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormon Church, is included on the new list but is not listed as a Christian denomination, while the Catholic, Orthodox, and various Protestant churches maintain the Christian label. Well, yes, in order to be a Christian, you must profess that Jesus Christ is Lord, is God incarnate on earth, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints entirely rejects that premise, that principle. So, under every single other Christian denomination's viewpoint and definition, the Mormon Church is a heretical sect if they are to be called Christian at all. Um, so I don't know. Their church is still included in the list. Why do they need it under this other category? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. For streamlining a little bit of paperwork, trying to help people out, make things simple. Don't have to go through a list of 200 something religions to find one little box that, only 3 people in the entire armed forces history has ever actually checked. Yeah. Um, this has angered many Mormons who feel their faith is being unfairly mislabeled in a way that harkens back to early persecution against Mormonism, a religious tradition that has its roots in the 19th century teachings of American religious leader Joseph Smith. I mean, the same applies to Jehovah's Witnesses. They also deny Jesus Christ as having been God on earth incarnate, and therefore are considered by all Christian um, denominations to not be a Christian denomination. And to my understanding, Jehovah's Witnesses also don't necessarily put themselves in the same category as Christians, because how can you label yourself a Christian if you do not believe that Christ is God. I mean, I guess non-Trinitarian denominations. Well, I don't know. They have their own box and still they're raising a stink. I don't get it. Republican Utah Senators Mike Lee and John Curtis, both members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who represent a state that is predominantly Mormon, have vocally objected to the change. Lee, who has posted dozens of times on social media about the change, calls the labeling offensive and repugnant to, and quote, offensive and quote, repugnant to any sense of decency and any sense of our common heritage and our common belief that the government needs to not weigh in on doctrinal disputes between various religious denominations. I mean, okay, whatever. Lee has called on Hegseth and the Pentagon to change the policy and has claimed to have spoken directly to President Trump about, quote, the Pentagon's Christian list. Christian list, they even. Um, Since taking over at the Pentagon, Hegseth has launched a campaign against diversity, seemingly targeting black people and other minorities as well as women. Now, his efforts appear to be attempting to promote much narrower vision of religious diversity. Well, okay, first off, campaign against diversity, seemingly targeting black people and other minorities. That's, I mean, they're reading their own viewpoint into that. The policy was eliminating the uh, diversity, equity, inclusion mandates, DEI from um, the military, where, that was included in all, all the other parts of the government, where you have to have a certain number of black people at a certain level of authority. You have to have a certain number of gay people at a certain, you have to have a certain number, and all of these mandates and everything would
I didn't know
eventually,
that was a thing.
huh?
I didn't know that was a thing. You had to keep a
Yeah,
certain amount of people. Of,
yeah, yeah.
um,
DEI, look it up. Diversity, equity, inclusion.
Heard of
That
it,
should never have
never looked
been.
into it.
Well, you should.
Yeah, I heard
Um,
of it, just never looked into it. I'll check it out.
yeah. It should never have been anywhere near any part of our armed forces, um, like structure, anything. Like the military is one place that it should be not even questioned that you want a meritocracy, you want the best, most competent people at the job, not necessarily the guy whose skin color or sexual orientation matches up to um, some diversity target that some um, politician cooked up somewhere in Washington who has, no military experience. Um, so it's not a war on, not a campaign against, well, campaign against diversity mandates, sure, yeah. Meritocracy, a campaign for meritocracy, seemingly targeting black people and other minorities as well as women. No, that's just what they read into it and what they want you to believe. They want the black people, other minorities, and all women to get angry at Trump over this decision. That's why they're framing it this way. Now, okay, moving on. Now his efforts appear to be attempting to promote a much narrower vision of religious diversity as well, drawing rebukes from religious freedom advocates and even members of his own party. Mm,
Damn, damn.
whatever. Members of his own party. Nah, whatever. It's not a political thing. It is a bureaucratic thing being politicized. Um, and you can see that from the language that they use and the framing,
Mm.
their position and everything. Um,
You sent an article here, but I have to subscribe. 8.99 a month. So I'm assuming you subscribed because you
what
sent the
is
article.
what article? Which
Um,
I've been removing articles as that I've shared as we've reading them, but I don't know which ones you're left with. And you've got all
um,
your articles that you shared too.
yeah, I want to knock yours out too. I got a few.
We're not going to have
Uh,
time for everything today, man. Just look how full this list is still. We probably have enough for today and Saturday without doing anything more. I
okay.
mean,
This one,
unless you want it like just a continuous marathon style stream that goes for like 12 hours, but I'm not up for that.
I
I'm gonna
mean,
say right now.
I was
Not
gonna say if you're here, we can keep going.
no. I mean, at the very least, my Xcopri dose will come at some point, and that will put an end to everything.
You
But
sleeping good?
even that's like, oh, I mean, I assume I slept good. Google Health doesn't know what happened last night. But I definitely, I don't know. I went to bed at 10 o'clock and I was out. And I only remember waking up like 3 or 4 times. And yeah, I was in bed still until like 8. So it's like about 10, whoa, about 10 hours, I guess. Right.
That's real good.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
the
yeah.
article that you sent, it says Birmingham couple defends first cousin marriages.
Okay. Yeah. Wouldn't, how
Can you put
did
it in
you
the
know?
chat?
Yeah.
It is.
How did you know? That was,
Where?
I literally had my
Oh,
note, the morning show group chat. Yeah, I literally had my cursor over that article when you read the title out here. Boom, dropped it in there. Yeah, it's from BBC.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, couple defend first cousin marriages amid a ban call. Okay.
I think I read this one the other day.
It's 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 interesting. Um, excuse me. Family life is busy for Israr Hussein and his wife Taslim Akhtar, who have 4 daughters between the ages of 5 and 15. They chose to have their wedding back home in Pakistan in 2007 and live in Birmingham. The 47-year-olds are not only husband and wife, but also first cousins, as both of their fathers are brothers. Lovely. Marrying a first cousin is a feature of many communities across the world. It is about protecting wealth, land, and property and helps keep the family together. They leave out, just conveniently leave out though. It's a common feature along uh, Muslim countries. It's specifically endorsed in Sharia law as means to keep all of the wealth in the family because women are not permitted to, or women have their own separate dowry that the husband is not permitted to touch. Um, but if you marry, if grandpa dies and has this, and rather than all of this being divided up between, the sons that he has and having to um, pay uh, dowries for any of the daughters that he has to go and marry off into other families. Just have the kids marry they're children to each other, and then it all stays in the clan. It all, right? If you look at a map of incidents of um, first cousin marriage and compare that to a map of incidents or of um, um, Muslim majority or percentage Muslim families, you see that it maps pretty much perfectly onto
An
the Muslim
American,
cultures. Huh?
American Muslim.
Not American Muslims. Not, well, I don't know. It's not expressly prohibited in the United States, as far as I know. There might be some places, but it's so culturally taboo because of the, Judeo-Christian founding of, our nation and of the cultural heritage of Western civilization, which at its core is um, fundamentally Judeo-Christian. Um, so those values were entirely at odds with the Islamic values throughout. I mean, ever since its founding. But um, yeah, one of the biggest objections um, came from the incest prohibitions and stigma. Stigma. Ha. That's stigma puts it lightly, doesn't it? Um, so yeah, this is a problem over there. I mean, Pakistan. That's why they went to Pakistan to do it. They're just, it's the thing. I wonder if you look at the rates of cousin marriage, first cousin marriage across the world, Pakistan is the global leader in um, family interbreeding and cousin marriage.
It
Um,
happens a lot in the South, in
a lot.
Oklahoma and Arkansas and Atlanta.
Yeah,
But that's
it's
only
not
I know
it's
that
not
from YouTube
entirely
videos.
yeah, it's not entirely absent from the United States, but it's you compare it to I think over in Pakistan it was 55% of marriages are first cousin marriages. So that means any random couple you take off the street in Pakistan, odds are they're married to their first cousin, just statistically, the majority.
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
that
and there are,
sucks.
yeah, well, and okay, I'll keep going. But yeah, it's more than just the social stigma that comes with it. Um, yeah, helps keep the family together. Doesn't that sound noble? While marriage between first cousins is not illegal in the UK, medical experts say it can cause genetic diseases in the children they may bear. Yeah, that's yeah. Not to mention IQ drops st staggering.
IQ drops.
Yeah, yeah. Studies have shown that cousin marriage results in I mean, reliably results in lowering of average IQ when you look at the overall population. Um, yeah, it's not just rare genetic diseases. It's but I mean the whole gamut is just worse off. Um, okay, so growing up, Mr. Hussein and Miss Akhtar were told by their parents that one day they would be married. So when the time came, they never questioned it. I can't imagine that. growing up being told, hey, you're going to marry Jennifer. Don't worry, you don't need to think about that. We got it all sorted out for you. Yeah, I mean,
Right. The
if you grow up with that, and that's, yeah, why would you question it? But they were not, what they were not warned about was any potential health risks that would occur if they had children. But even if they had known, Miss Akhtar said it would not have made a difference. Quote, that's God's will. Nobody can say anything about that. Even if you marry outside of the family, it could still happen. I mean, sure, genetic deformities and diseases can happen to anybody, but
easier when you're first cousins.
it's yeah, you're asking for it if you're marrying
Higher
your cousin.
likelihood.
Yeah, it's you can yeah. Anyway, quote, so many people have married outside the families and they may still have a child with a disability, she said. Okay, IQ drop, remember? Um, the couple who moved to the UK in 2004 and have been living in Birmingham since 2009 said all of their daughters were healthy and thriving. Good. I mean, genuinely, that's great that they don't have any problems, anything. Um, yeah, education programs, they say. First cousin marriages are more prevalent in certain communities across the UK. According to a 2021 study, about 55% of British Pakistanis are married to first cousins. Hey, that matches their homeland. I mean, it makes sense. They're just coming over to Britain, right? The open borders policy, the Pakistanis are just coming in and bringing their cousin wives with them.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
55% of British Pakistanis married to first cousins, while the practice accounts for about 3% of all marriages nationally.
Wow.
Yeah. There were a few states you said in America that I wonder what the rates are
Um,
in those states. If you could look that up, that would be
I just seen like YouTube videos of people
oh,
going to
okay.
the most places where incest is at, and one guy was saying it's just so they keep the name going, and there was like a common name in that town. I forgot what it was, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was either
Um,
Google,
either Georgia
I can give
or
you the Google
Oklahoma.
idea.
okay.
According to Google, it's fully legal in California, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, New Mexico, Maryland, and Virginia. Legal with conditions,
That list is longer than I thought.
Illinois, yeah. Legal with conditions, Illinois and Wisconsin allow first cousins to marry if they are past reproductive age, over like 50 or 55, or infertile. Maine requires proof of genetic counseling first. Banned states like Texas, Ohio, and Kentucky. It's classified as criminal offense in 8 states, including Oklahoma, Texas, and Utah.
Wow.
So it's varyingly legal across the state and completely illegal in others, or the country, not the state.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
That's
okay.
gross anywhere, uh, but
I mean,
to each his
well,
own.
gross is a matter of our having been raised in the Western culture, in the Western mindset. Like they had said, they were ever since birth, they were both told you're going to marry, and that's just normal.
Yeah,
So yeah, I can see why they would say it's not gross, but
it's not gross to them. I'm sorry.
it
Sorry if I
shouldn't.
offended anybody.
Yeah, well, no, I mean it should be stigmatized if only in the name of health reasons, right? You don't need to bring the religious aspect into it like we saw in the United States, like Maine legal with genetic counseling or, legal between infertile couples. But I mean, making babies is a foundational tenet of Islam. So they would, yeah, infertile couples would. I wonder how that happened. But yeah,
Mm. Is there a reason for that?
yeah.
Um,
It's part of their religion. They're commanded to go and make babies, have lots of children.
no,
Um,
I mean the incest part.
I mean, well, they wouldn't call it incest because it's cousin, not sibling, but
Okay.
that's
Okay, yeah, I'm
just a
sorry.
technical. It's
There
like
is a
incest
difference.
adjacent. I think it's so close that it's basically we should just call it incest. But they'll say no, not really, not technically.
Hey,
Sure. Okay. Um,
your cousin is your cousin. There's
yeah.
no way around it.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
no way around that. Period.
uh, yeah. In Birmingham, which has a
Either
large
that's
British
your.
Pakistani. Huh?
Oh no, I was just gonna say like either that's your dad's brother's child or your dad's sister's child. Either way, that is gross. Well, I need to
Yeah.
stop saying like that. That's someone's preference. To each his own.
It's I don't know. I think that there
Mm,
are some objective standards that, you know, mm, yeah,
mm,
kind of gross. They'll disagree, but I'll just say they're wrong. And they'll just say I'm wrong. So who cares? Um, in Birmingham, which has a large British Pakistani population, these unions are a common tradition, though attitudes among younger generations are shifting. Yeah, the internet is a big thing. Yeah. After figures fell sharply in Bradford, researchers attributed the change to higher educational attainment, new family dynamics, and changes in immigration rules. In December, Conservative MP Richard Holden called for first cousin marriage to be banned in the UK, including introducing the proposals in Parliament. The MP for Basildon and oh, Bill
Valerike.
Billericay. Wow, how did you
That's
know
how I
that?
would say it.
Okay, good. I'll say it that way too. Billericay said the children of first cousins were at greater risk of birth defects and the practice should be prohibited to protect public health. However, independent MP Iqbal Mohammed argued the ban would be ineffective and stated these issues would be better addressed through education programs to raise awareness of the risks. Well, yeah, of course a ban would be ineffective. They're just going to go through their little Sharia courts and marry each other anyway. They've got their whole parallel legal system. Mr.
mm,
Hussein is against a ban being introduced in the UK. First, quote, first cousin marriages should continue. Our religion says that, but you can also marry outside as well. Okay, how reasonable. His
Instead,
wife,
unless dad tells you otherwise.
well, yeah, you can also
right.
marry outside. If daddy says so.
Mm.
Well, if her daddy says so, right? Yeah.
Right.
Um, his wife agrees. How benevolent of him to allow her an opinion. She said she would not mind her daughters marrying a first cousin if they wanted to. Wow, they wanted to. How progressive.
Mm.
Quote, they can marry whomever they want. It's fine if it's in the family or outside of the family. Oh, okay. I thought they can marry whomever they want and it's fine if it's in the family. Like, no. Okay. It continued at the next line. Yeah.
Mm.
Mr. Hussein added, quote, sometimes they see news on TV about cousin marriages and they tell us about it. Well, yeah. The couple said their children were learning a lot about it, and Miss Akhtar was in no doubt about what their future would look like when it came to finding a partner. Quote, they talk to different people. That will be their matter. They will talk and decide. Okay. I don't I don't know if that's I mean, I guess English is probably not her first language, so um anyway, no plans to change, it says. Joyce Harper, a professor in reproductive science at University College London, said the problem with this type of union was that it could lead to genetic diseases in children if there was the presence of faulty genes in both parents. The issue with cousins marrying is what we call recessive diseases. So things like cystic fibrosis and thalassemia, where both couples, where both of the couple have to have an error in the same gene. Wait. Uh, okay. So genetics is the main worry, but there are other risks, but it's still very low, and I just don't think it's our right to dictate. I think it's our right to educate those communities. What?
They say stuff like that happens in Mormon communities.
Really?
Yeah, seen a couple documentaries. Haven't seen it with
Cool.
my own eyes, but yeah, seen it in a couple documentaries that there's stuff going on with people and their siblings and children and uncles and yeah.
Yeah, some of the more fundamentalist branches get a little sketchy. Um, Warren Jeffs.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but there was something I remember hearing that they,
Escaping Polygamy
yeah,
TV
that they
show.
had believed um that polygamous marriages were a necessity for salvation in there. And I'm not sure if I got that right or not, but that was what I came away with, and that um yeah, I'm not sure. When you have that insular group of, a certain number of people who are following you, and you break away from mainstream society and practice polygamy and stuff, it seems like it would be hard to avoid um, cousin
Everybody's
stuff.
just one big family and there's no
Right.
outside influence, so they just keep marrying each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I can't. I mean, I don't think that happens very much at all in the United States, but it it does. It has happened. Not
Check it
to
out
the
on
same
YouTube.
level. It's not like widely pervasive and prevalent, and it's not considered foundational part of Mormon religion, is it? I don't think it is. I
I don't
mean, at
know.
least not the way
Um
it's practiced by the mainstream Mormon church that
Watch that show named Escaping Polygamy.
yeah, I've seen
I've
that one.
seen it.
There's a few
Yeah.
different documentaries about the FLDS. Um,
Yep.
yeah. Um,
I got
uh,
an article if you're done with that one.
I don't remember where. Oh wait, okay, yeah. It seems the younger generation is taking note. Umar Azad, 22, works in his family-run supermarket in Birmingham. He said that while first cousin marriages were not unusual in Pakistan or India, it was a different situation in the UK. Well, not unusual in Pakistan or India is a mischaracterization. They were more the norm. When they're over 50%, that's a majority. That's not just not unusual, is it? Um, Quote, I think that's what makes people think I think that's what makes people think that's not the norm. That young Pakistanis who are born in Britain, they don't think it's normal to get married to your first cousin and they might find it weird. He added, quote, for me personally, I think it would be a bit awkward because it's your close family. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he grew up in westernized values, basically effectively Judeo-Christian culture um, surrounding him, and that culture says it's your close family, and that's not good. And so yeah, I don't know. Downing Street said the expert advice on the risks of first cousin marriage was clear, but indicated that the government had no plans to change the law. Mm. Well, they've got such a large voting bloc there now who are all in favor of it. If they changed the law, then they would be alienating a huge number of
Quick
voters.
question.
And hmm,
Would you marry your cousin?
no,
I would not. Just asking.
doesn't matter which
Good
cousin
to
you
know.
ask me about. No,
Gotcha.
nothing against my
Good thing we're on
cousins.
the same page.
My cousins are awesome. I love them, but
Just not that way.
not marrying them.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they're all married already anyway, so it's not. I'm not gonna go
Gotcha.
home wrecking any of my cousins. No.
Okay.
Um,
I got an article, Mark, uh, and Andrea. Everybody out there watching, it'd be great if you can press that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed already, press that button as well. But I got a article about Phil Mickelson. I remember him because I used to play Tiger Woods when I was a kid. He was in that game. But Phil Mick- Phil Mickelson accused of showing explicit picture to Pat Perez's wife when Golf Pal was in the bathroom. Phil Mickelson alleged tried to seduce golfer Pat Perez's wife by using a naked photo of himself, all while Perez was in the nearby bathroom, completely unaware of the three-time Masters champion nefarious actions. The incident, according to Scratch Scratch report penned by Alan Shipnuck on Friday, occurred back in 2015 when Mickelson and Perez were getting ready to compete in the PGA Tour's Barclays tournament at Plainfield CC in Edison, New Jersey. Mickelson, Shipnuck reported, invited Perez and his then wife Ashley to stay with him at the Swanky Villa near the course. And when the two arrived, the trio began drinking wine on the property's patio. However, when Pat excused himself for the restroom, Ashley says Mickelson took his phone out and showed her a full body picture of himself naked with an erection while flexing one bicep, Shipnuck wrote. Ashley Shipnuck added, claimed Mickelson told her, I'm gonna leave my bedroom door open tonight. When Pat falls asleep, I wanna see you. Oh, I want you to come see me.
Smooth.
Ashley objected, and the following the tournament, she told Perez about Mickelson's advances. Perez then, according to Shipnuck, retold the story to so many in the golf world that Mickelson's genitals became an urban legend on tour. Mickelson's wife, uh, Mickelson, who has been married to his wife Amy for 30 years, went on to apologize to Perez's wife for the behavior, per the scratch report. Um, the first happening while the two, both Arizona alums, uh, were at the famed Madison Club in Southern California. The next took place in a 26-minute phone call after Perez said on December 2022 podcast that he had, in quote, a different hate for Phil than most people. Mm, understandable. Throughout the 26-minute phone call, Mickelson alternated between uh, contrition and saying he didn't remember the details of the night. Shipnuck reported. At one of the, at one point during the call, it appeared Mickelson tried to say he believed that he was merely topless, not fully nude, in the photo that he showed Ashley, without admitting that he had done, without admitting what he had done. Shipnuck stated in the scratch piece, Mickelson apologized directly to both Pat and Ashley. Said, "I can't tell you how disgusted and embarrassed I am of myself." Shipnuck went on to report that Mickelson, who was accused of earlier spring of making non-consensual and inappropriate physical contact with a female employee at the Farms Golf Club in Rancho Santa Fe,
He sounds like a creep.
had made at least one other woman feel uncomfortable in recent years.
At
During
least
that,
one.
yeah, at least one. During that alleged incident, Mickelson asked, in quote, the most inappropriate questions about the women's personal life and then propositioned her, in quote, in graphic detail, according to Shipnuck. It felt like a verbal rape, the woman said of the encounter with the golf icon. Ship per Shipnuck. Shipnuck is the company name, I'm assuming, if you guys didn't understand that. Mickelson's attorney, Tom Clare, released a scathing statement on the allegations of California Post on Friday. A small segment of golf media has decided that because Mr. Mickelson is a successful golfer, every detail of his private and family life is theirs to exploit, the lawyer said. Recycling mistakes he has already acknowledged as a new reporting and dragging private family matters into public view is reckless. It is the pursuit of clicks at the expense of truth. Do better. Mm, there's much more. Claire said he shared the statement with Shipnuck prior to publishing the journalist the journalist article, but it was not included. A spokeswoman for Mickelson added that, end quote, some of the allegations circulating about Mr. Mickelson are false, and others revisit mistakes he has already acknowledged publicly and privately. Stacking the disputed claims next to ones he has owned already does not make them credible. It insisted. Uh, it instead contributes to a false, misleading narrative. No person nor article and no book can present an accurate, complete, or personal story of the life Mr. Mickelson and his family have lived. His story, struggles, and recovery belongs to him and to the people who have shared it closely alongside him. Recovery is not a straight line. Throughout the 35-year-old relationship, his wife, Amy Mickelson, has supported Mr. Mickelson and his family with extraordinary grace, unwavering love, and belief that people are measured not by only their failures, but what they what they do with that to make it right. Mr. Mickelson's priority is to become the husband, father, and man his family deserves. Right now means giving them full attention to a private family health. He understands that parts of his life are public, but his family private matters do not matter. Mickelson has been away from professional golf since February when he announced he needed to tend to family matter. That is all. Yeah. So this guy is really successful. I didn't never knew he would be somebody like that. But like I said, he was in a video game when I was a kid. Um,
The fact that it keeps coming up in his life makes me think that he may have said, "Yeah, I did that, but I've changed," but he didn't really change. And
Yeah,
why
and
why do so many men think that women want unsolicited dick pics? I don't understand.
yeah, his was even worse. It wasn't even like sending it to her so she had the evidence. He just showed her on his phone, which is sucks even worse.
Probably because he sent unsolicited dick pics to somebody else and got in trouble with it, so he didn't want there to be any proof this time.
eh, your cousin, and then the solicited pics. I mean, from the last post, the cousins and now unsolicited pics. Oh wow, some other unsolicited stuff, but we won't go into that. Uh, yeah, Mark, there's a lot of articles you had that I'm looking forward to. Um, this
yeah, we don't have time
Japan's.
to.
Oh, okay,
Well, no, I'm
all
just
right,
saying we don't have time for all of it. I mean, at least I don't have time for all of it, not today. But there's plenty for next time also. Oh, I'm here. Let me get rid of the cousin
all right.
name.
Well,
Boom. Cousin marriage deleted from the list. Yes.
thanks for watching, everybody out there watching. Um, please press that subscribe button and press the little bell. That'll let you know when we go live. 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Wednesday and
Saturday.
Saturday. There we go.
Yes.
My memory is very slow. It's working though, just
Yeah.
at a slow
I got
pace.
I got more time. I'll have more time on Saturday. I should be able to get a
Okay.
longer marathon in. But yeah, there's a lot of article. I hadn't realized how much I was sending. There's so many cool things happening. I can't talk about it all. It's not fair. The prison cats
All right.
and space mirrors and cannibal